What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? So I see that we don't have anybody watching yet, but we will. Some of you are probably on the other link. Somehow or other, StreamYard deleted my first show that I put up for show. So hopefully everybody will catch up and come on over. But we have a few guests with us tonight, and my usual co-host should be jumping on at some point in time. And we'll see what happens. So, first guest. Who's our first guest? Our first guest is the man, the myth, the legend, the man with the mustache that defines all mustaches. He puts the stink in the skunk works. My bud, Jeff. What's happening, brother?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's a long time. Long time no see.
Yeah, really. We've been on a lot of streams together lately.
we have, man. It's like every week somebody's got us on a stream. We're just sitting there talking.
All right. Our next guest. Let's see. What about the next guest? He hails from parts unknown. The man you all know loves the 1/18 scale so much that he has his own show about it. The man who loves Santa Claus so much he copied his hairstyle. Will from Willhelm Toy and Hobby.
Hey guys, how are you?
What's up, Will?
Good. Yeah, I got confused with the stream crossing thing over there too. So I was just putting a note in the chat.
I don't know what happened. Like I said, StreamYard deleted that other link. So, and Bachelor number 3. That's the wrong show. Guest number 3, transmitting from deep in the jungles of Guatemala. The man who we all love for his fashion sense, especially his hat. Mr. Jim Largo from Largo's Lair.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, what's up, Jim?
Hey, Jim.
I was definitely not playing with my dollies just now.
Never good to play with your dollies.
What's up?
How much? What's happening?
Lots of stuff. Good stuff.
Just sipping on some Black Rifle coffee. Got some Sasquatch Black Rifle coffee.
Oh, but that's delicious.
Nice.
Delicious.
I got 3 different bags of Black Rifle coffee for Christmas. So
do you get whole bean or do you do the ground?
I just get the ground.
Do you?
It's I like the bean, fresh ground beans, but it's such a pain in the ass. And
the grind it every time.
Yeah, a lot of the stores used to have the grinder right there with it, but
I was going to say I used to do that. Yeah, they got rid
of that. Let me pop in and check in with chat real quick. We got Bjorn.
Yeah.
Oh, he said schmap your donkey, not schmebulok.
Yeah.
We got this guy down here in the corner doing double duty.
Hey,
another man pulling double duty.
There's another good guy.
Payne, what's happening?
Yep. Hat's here. It just doesn't fit with the headphones.
Bjorn says he watched most of the day watching Skunk Works. He must be building his adventure team, getting some ideas.
I think everybody's building a team right now.
Yeah. Bjorn's doing pretty cool. He's doing a 1/18 scale, so hopefully.
I've seen those.
Yeah, probably be better than what Hasbro gave us several years ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the man from Hella Dope Toys, Mr. Darkclaw. What's happening, Ted? Carol, thanks for stopping by. And then we got Mr. Grumpy Short Pants himself. Hey, shut the fuck up.
We love you, Lawrence.
We love you, Lawrence. So how's everybody doing today?
Good.
I know Jeff said it's cold there.
It's cold.
It's 70 degrees where he's at, so it's cold.
It's cold.
And,
It got down. It was chilly. It was like 75 today. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Man, almost had to put a winter hat on for that.
You wouldn't believe it. People show up to work wearing, oh my God. And 2 hours later, they're taking it all off. It's just crazy. I'm going to my car, then I'm going in the store. So it's like, why do I need a jacket? I'm not going to be exposed to the elements. 75
the elements.
Crazy.
I'd be wearing a Speedo at 75.
Right? Going, why do I have to wear this shirt at work when it's 75 degrees? Jesus.
Right.
Oh my God.
It's a great thing about Guatemala. Pants are optional here.
Oh, I do. I do got to tell you guys. So I do my reviews day every Tuesday. If I have something to review, I'll make a video. So of course today I did that Toynami Veritech fighter, which is super dope, super cool. So next week's is those really poorly made Dungeons and Dragons figures.
The Hasbro ones?
Yeah, the Hasbro ones. So I bought them a long time ago. Finally got around. I was going to do a review of them, but I decided I need something, a filler, for like a reviews day. So I did it. And in the video, I'm like, this would have been better executed had somebody else done it, like say Super 7, right? Super 7 today announces 2 of those animated figures. And I'm like, shit, my reviews comes out next week. So I'm like,
You called it.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed like something right up their alley. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like with their G.I. Joe stuff. They're definitely leaning heavily into like the Sunbow cartoons, which is cool if that's your thing. It's not doesn't work for me, but
that's kind of their MO, I think, anymore, is doing the pop culture cartoon animated series stuff, which I really wish
I think they ended up getting that from Hasbro as well, the license to do it, because they got the Joe license. So hold on a second. We got another person joining us here.
How's
Luke,
it
what's
going?
happening?
How's it going?
Hey, Luke, how are you?
Everybody.
He's in
Good, how are
the
you?
Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
Luke from the Phantom Zone.
The internet's a little crazy here right now because
I wondered if that's what happened to our stream, because I had the one scheduled, and then I went into StreamYard today and it was gone. I was like, what the hell?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's still up on the YouTube channel, though.
Yeah, I see that.
Like people were in there. Yeah. So
I don't know
what's going on.
But real quick, what's happening, Thanos?
Hey, Thanos.
Yo, what's up?
So yeah, I don't know what happened, but I was in there. I was getting things ready, went back out, did a couple of things, came back in, and it was gone. I was like, what the hell?
Huh.
Oh well, life happens. We all
One of
figure it
those-
out. StreamYard, the internet, you can't do anything about it. It's probably the aliens in the Miami Mall causing
It's
all this
100%
problems.
true. Lizard people.
Could be.
Yeah.
The
Lizards.
Guatemalan gremlins are sneaking across the border.
The Guatemalan gremlins. I hope we get a photo story with the Guatemalan gremlins.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I only have one right now, but I'm hunting down a couple more. I'm using the plunderlings that came out a while back because they're the perfect
Plunderlings are
scale.
Cool.
I'm
They
working
work
on
really well with the Joes.
I'm working on a photo story right now, Ed, that you're gonna love.
Excellent.
It's super fun.
I like fun.
What I'm doing right now is I'm basically just to pass the time in between like the big ones I make. I'm doing these under 6-minute shorts. So I just do 6-minute long ones, and I filmed one a couple weeks ago. It's really cool, and then I got this new one. I think it's going to be super awesome. And
what video software are you using, Jeff, when you're editing your videos together?
I just use iMovie.
Oh, you use the iMovie?
I just use iMovie. I try to keep it as super low production.
iMovie's nice. When I was doing the Brits, remember the Brits that me and that guy were making? So I was making that line of Brits, and we were using the iMovie for making the commercials that we were using for those. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't have an iPhone anymore, so.
Yeah, I use iMovie. It's pretty cool. I mean, it works really well. I mean, for what I'm doing. But yeah.
Fat Red.
Hey.
Travis, how you guys doing?
Largo, I really like your new team, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Well, you guys inspired me. You and Adam and Ed. I'm looking at some new ideas, and it is a challenge. I mean, I've pretty much put Canva through its paces. It's certainly not up to movie editing quality. I need to find like a Windows or Android equivalent that I can tinker with to really do what it's like. You get an idea, and I can do storyboarding, but for where I want to go, I might have to try to find a better software. But I'm working with what I got at the moment.
I loved where the Gillman popped up in the team. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So you're still doing all your production on Canva, Jim?
I am. I have tinkered with a few other programs just to test them out, but some of them, there's a lot of bells and whistles and
Yeah.
it goes over my head. I don't have a background in video editing. The fanciest thing I ever used, in my business life was like doing PowerPoint, so
Uh-huh.
it's a steep learning curve for video editing.
The Canva
But,
has a lot of features, though.
It does, but the fact that everything is in the cloud is kind of limiting because my
Yeah.
internet is not
Yep.
great. I really would like to have something that I have on my hard drive so that it's just easier to do without having to worry about whether my signal goes wonky.
Right. Yeah.
But kind of like with Jeff doing smaller vignettes, it's easier on my system. It's cool and easy to get some ideas out, and then I'll go back and flesh them out more later. So that was kind of like the idea for that, the pilot or concept idea to throw out there. And that's kind of what I want to do with the Operation Brainstorm. Just get some guys together that are creative, do something short, like 2 to 3 minutes tops.
Right.
And do it more like, opening credits to a TV show or a commercial, something that's, just a little bite-sized nugget.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I read through all that, and I was trying to come up with a concept, and I've kind of settled on one, but we'll see as time moves on what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, that's a fun concept. I do like the crossover concept with a lot of stuff because we've talked the last few live streams about getting the Axis of Awesome guys together and doing an anthology series. So it has a common theme, and then we each do a photo story that moves the story along,
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get all that ironed out at the first part of this year. But we'll see. And then you had mentioned doing the thing that you were going to do, with the trailer and everything. I think it's going to be really, really rad.
Well, last year, me and Teflon, we did it in photo stories, but that's what we did. We
you
took
guys
some
did great stuff. Those
basic
were all
ideas,
fun.
and he'd do one part, then I jump in with the next part, and if you set the theme and then you can build on that, it works good. But
yeah, I think the idea was kind of like everybody has their own stylistic approach to doing their own thing. You've got Angelo D'Annabelle does like a comic.
oh yeah,
And then you've got Adam and I do real similar ones, and then you've got some guys do stop motion, and I think it'd be cool if everybody could really come together and we could just come up with a common deal and then just space them out, release them over time. And
yeah, for sure.
that'd be fun. I wanted to do it in 2025, get it all figured out this year, and then do it in 2025.
Well, that's going to be an ambitious project when you have, trying to get everything interconnected.
Right.
Fortunately, most of you guys have similar figures in common, so you can carry over characters.
Right.
With what I'm doing, I wanted to go with something that's more, just simple, everybody kind of doing their own thing.
Yep.
And expanding into different scales. We've got guys who are big into 118, into 112. And I mean, the main idea for me this year, I'm really focused on the theme of storytelling, whether it be with toys or fan fiction or what have you. And it just struck me as you see a lot of, room tours and people talking about their stuff. And it's like, okay, great. You got it posed. You got to dust it. Do you play with it?
Yeah.
I want to see people playing with their stuff this year. So that's why I'm trying to do this.
Everybody's always asking me about how I got my figures posted. And I'm like, well, I have them in static poses, just vanilla poses on the shelf. But it's like I take them down constantly to do pictures with them. So it's like,
right.
It's not like they're just standing there all the time. It's just put them down, put them back up.
Yeah, you take yours out to the woods too, right?
Yeah.
You did some of your
I do all my shit in the woods most of the time.
you did
for the
those
winter, but
primal what were the warriors? What are the animal warriors that you had?
yeah, Animal Wars, the Kingdom.
Yeah, you had some of those out in the woods that were really cool looking. I think earlier this year, right?
Yeah, it was in the summertime.
Yeah.
So real quick, funny story, Jeff. Travis, Mr. Wonderful, he lives out by Angelo.
Okay.
And Angelo was showing his books off and stuff, his diorama stuff off at a toy show. And Travis took and went there with one of his kids, I guess, and started talking to Angelo. And of course, Angelo doesn't know me as Ed. He still knows me as Lyle from when I went by when I was on Facebook, right? So didn't make the connection. Then Travis came home and he's talking to me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy. He's one of my good buds." He's like, so kind of funny. He's like, and I guess he's like a teacher at his kid's school, or was a teacher.
Oh wow, yeah, I knew he was a
Oh.
teacher. Yeah,
Yeah, one of the schools this kid went to. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
it's a small
Angelo's
world,
awesome.
man.
So
It's a small world
yeah.
for sure.
So Jim, you got something you want to announce or promote?
what?
I do.
right.
The new channel is going to be all underwater basket weaving, all nude, all the time. No, just kidding.
Yes, I am subscribed 3 times to that.
Oh yeah.
Tell me
I am
more.
working. Indeed, I am working on creating a sister channel. It's just going to be Largo's Layer 2, Explore the Lore, and all the storytelling aspects that I've been doing are going to migrate there. So if it's toy related, it'll still be on the main channel. If it's story related and some of the other esoteric stuff I'm working on, it'll go to the sister channel. So I'm going to try that, see if the algorithm will be kinder to me, because it seems like, a lot of the things I try to do are interrelated, and most of the folks in our toy community are interested, whether it be the music or some of the storytelling stuff. But some of it, I think I just need to find the right audience that's really digging that. So I'm going to do some experimenting this year. If it doesn't work, I'll just throw
I think a
everything
lot
back
of
on the
those
main channel.
subjects appeal to a broader audience too, and YouTube may not be sharing it with that audience because of your kind of baked in crowd that is a bunch of dudes around our age and talking about toys, so it doesn't necessarily get out there, to
Right. Yeah, so I'm in the process of migrating some of the older videos over, maybe doing a couple edits and touch-ups. New content will be on this channel, some new experimental stuff I'm working on to try it out, including excerpts from my book. Yes, I am a published author. Nobody bought it, but I did publish it.
That's awesome,
So,
man.
I'll put that out there.
What's your book about?
It's called IQV, Imagination, Quotation, and Verse, and it is a collection of poems, short stories, and quotes that I've collected over the years. It's just kind of a hobby, and I kind of mashed them all together. So putting it in a video format just works. I think it's a good way to put something out there that isn't just like, hanging out like a beatnik in a coffee shop, clicking my, fingers.
Did you write all of it?
I would tune in for that.
That's
as well.
awesome, dude. That's cool. That's really cool.
Did you publish it on Amazon, or like actually take it and get it published into an actual book?
No, this was, what year was this? Lord.
Oh, this
I
is
published
before
it
Amazon.
in 2011. So there wasn't a whole lot of that stuff back then.
Yeah.
I did actually physically go to a printer and print up books, and I sold maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 of them.
That's
And,
great.
Nice.
That's
That's awesome, though.
just sold them locally when I was living out on the left coast, where there's more.
Yeah, me, Will, and
you
Jeff
know-
are lucky. We're in the presence of 2 published authors. Look, man, we are. Just,
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd looked at
Jim,
maybe trying to revisit it at some point and do the Amazon thing,
Yeah.
and it's just like, nah, I'm not
I kind
into
of
it
can't
right
get
now.
this image out of my head now of a stage, a light, a stool, your hat, smoke
yeah.
rising up, and then you just snap.
Yeah, the old beatnik snapping.
Yeah.
Meat
right.
Poet.
Yeah.
On the
What was
down low,
that,
Daddy-O.
What was that movie? So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, so I married.
Yes.
Mike Myers. That was great. That was a great
Harriet,
movie, by the
sweet
way.
Harriet, hard-hearted Havinger of haggis.
Jim Largo just doing that back in the day. Wearing pencil pants.
Yeah,
That's cool, man. That's really cool that you have a book.
yeah.
Yeah. So
That's rad.
yeah, you'll see some of my favorites excerpts from that in video form, short form. I try to
You
keep
already put a
everything
couple
under.
up. I got to
I did.
watch them. Yeah, they're pretty
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
So short, what I consider short form content. So they're under 5 minutes, and just they're stories. That's the idea, is telling stories this year. I want to do more storytelling. The best advice I ever got about YouTube was from our buddy Grindhead Jim. He said, make the content you want to see. If there's something you want to look for and you go to search for it and it ain't there, make it. I was like,
Yeah.
I could do that. I may not do
100%.
it well, but I'll try. So
Yeah, I
that's-
agree 100% with him. That's kind of what I do with those, my Brew 30, right? I
Yeah.
have an Instagram page, Toys, Brews, and Booze, and I just decided to. I got these cool beers I drink, and I have these action figures. Why not just take a picture of your beer with an action figure? Because there's nobody else really doing it. There was a
No.
few people I saw doing it. Then I decided, shit, I'll do a beer review with this and tell a story, because I have a ton of stories from
Yeah.
drinking, and then a lot of these action figures rekindle memories as a kid, and it's great. It's fun. It's probably one of the most enjoyable videos I do on my channel, and gets the least amount of views, right? It just, but I don't really care, I enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like there's stuff that you do that is, maybe a very niche market of folks, but that's not why you do it. You do it because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And,
That was one of the struggles Jeff and I used to battle all the time. We ended up creating a lot of our own Facebook groups and shit like that because, we do adventure team stuff, but most of the stuff that we did was all customized or, that kind of, figure or storyline, right? And all the groups were like, oh, it's got to be 1964 to 1968, or it's got to be, only 1969, or if it isn't real adventure team, it doesn't count. It doesn't belong here. We were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's one thing with a lot of the forums that it rubs me the wrong way is the gatekeeping. It's like, dude,
And that's why that's one of the reasons I left, one of the many reasons I left Facebook and came to YouTube and just started doing my own thing, is because I just wanted to do my own thing. And I didn't really care. I didn't really care what other people thought. So I still don't.
No.
I mean,
yeah, it kills me. There was one time, there's this guy, he made an entire city in his basement for 1/18 scale. It was the town of Springfield, and it was massive. I mean, he could walk down the streets, and he was building it, but he was using a lot of things that weren't official G.I. Joe stuff to kind of, police cars from different properties, and they kicked him out of the group for it because they warned him. But it's literally the town of Springfield. It is mostly occupied with G.I. Joe stuff, but he used Bruder stuff and other, because it's a whole function.
And not like Hasbro has G.I. Joe has all the stuff you need to make a town,
don't.
right? It's like,
and they were like, oh, we warned him so many times. And I was like, he was making probably the most compelling and interesting stuff on the, so he went and made his own group, I was like,
that's what you got to do, right? Some of these guys are just horrible about that stuff.
Yeah. And to expand on what, Ed was saying, when we were in those old Facebook groups, him and I both went out and did a lot of photos. You were doing a Bigfoot at the time. You were making yours, and you had your custom figures, which were those real action hero guys that you flocked. And we were all making these weird little niche customs. And like to Largo's point about getting out and playing, there's something when you walk past your shelf of beautifully stacked or displayed figures, and it's just, you look at them and you're like, these are doing nothing. And you're right. I like seeing everybody's awesome collections in the beautiful cases with all the lights, but I'd like to take my stuff in the box, take it outside, get it dirty, display it, and use it for what I think it should be used for. And
there's nothing wrong if you want to have your collection set up like a museum in your house, like Paul Knapp, right? I mean, Paul Knapp he has a G.I. Joe museum, right?
Yeah,
incredible stuff, right? But
and a Star Wars figure museum.
If that's not your thing, then there's nothing wrong with taking it out and getting it dirty and playing in the dirt with it.
I'm sorry, I started laughing at Lawrence's comment there. He said, "Yuck, 118." You said, "I'm an adult wearing big boy pants, and I only collect 112 scale."
Do you guys ever get? All of us hunt for toys, and do you guys ever get something? Like say, for example, I'll get like an old adventure of some kind, like an air adventure, a sea adventure, something. Just, it looks like he's been through it. And you just lay him there on your workbench and you look at him and you just say, man, I love to know what your story is.
Exactly.
wish-
I love
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
That's
I
like you,
love-
Jeff. I love when I used to get the Foot Lockers and they have the name on there with a kid
Yeah.
that gave himself, Captain whatever, he's like Captain Colonel, whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you had some fun.
Yeah, you get a vehicle or a figure with a big gnarly scratch on their side or
Yeah.
something. You're like, I wonder how this happened. That must have been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Or day.
That's what used to drive me nuts about the old GI Joe groups is anybody who would hunt, they wanted mint.
Yep.
Like mint. And it's hard to find, or mint in box, or mint on card, which is great if that's your thing. I want a story with, I want something with character.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
fix something up and bring it back to life, and then send that guy on a new mission somewhere.
Well, that's why I started flocking, because like you get so many of those faces
Yeah.
that had like half a beard. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, you need to grow your hair back, get some, hair club for men, and get back out there and live another day.
I am guilty of taking the Bic razor to my GI Joe when I was a kid,
Yeah.
just to see what would happen, and then regretting it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm definitely getting an eclectic group together, just because there's so many things in the different scales I like to do. With the 112, I enjoy doing some kit bashing because, especially with Action Force, it's easy to do. All the neck pegs are uniform. You can find things that'll work. You can do a lot of pop and swap, which is, a good entryway into customizing.
Mhm.
I don't do as much painting as I used to. I used to do a lot of miniature painting, but I haven't taken the time. But I enjoy it. I like the idea, especially like with the 1/6 Joes, because they're so versatile. You can mix and match them with a lot of stuff they were never meant to go with if you're a purist. But it's like, hey man, why not? So that's kind of where I'm playing in my storyline stuff, is what characters would never have met in the Joe universe that in my head canon, yeah, they'll totally meet at Hooligan's Bar, someday,
That's great. Cody from Poplocks 4583 has his own bar. I don't think you guys have ever seen his channel.
I have.
The Salty
Yeah.
CB. It's
Awesome.
it's such a great bar, and that would be another cool thing, is to send him one of each of our figures, and then have him do a stop motion of all of our stuff in the Salty Sea Beaver, where we voice over. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
the
that would
sky's the
be
limit on a lot of the stuff that we'd like to do. I really enjoy all you guys' Action Force stuff, because I have one Action Force figure, but I'm always interested to see the Action Force stuff and as it drops, because I really think it's a really cool, innovative toy line. It's nice that it's competing with Classified, because I think it makes both lines better, kind of like how 21st Century Toys and Hasbro were in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
I think that
Yeah.
Vanguard is really, really cool. That
Oh,
vehicle.
yeah.
What do
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys think about that Vanguard?
Yeah, I think it's launching this week. Looks
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's based on the real world vehicle, and I remember seeing that Rezvani tank years ago. It's been out for probably 2015, maybe a little after that. But I saw like this special where they were putting it through the test. It's bulletproof. The thing is awesome. You know what I mean? Like Rezvani makes some really cool vehicles, and for him to get the license on that makes sense. It's a modern military vehicle. It's being produced right now. It's also in that show. Actually, Largo turned me on to Terminal List.
Terminal List. Yep. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was gonna buy the book, and then like I don't know a couple weeks later, I see that the show came out, and I'm like, oh wow, there's a show of this. We were talking one night, and he was like, oh, you got to read this series, and then the show came out. But yeah, when I saw it in that, I was like, oh yeah.
I do like Bobby when he went out and not only got Sergeant Slaughter for the line, which was super cool. That was like a nice checkmate move, And then he went and got Tim Kennedy, which a lot of people know Tim Kennedy. I mean, he's had his own channel, I think, Hunting Hitler, I believe, on History Channel. He's been on Rogan podcast a bunch. He's on the MMA. He's a UFC contender for a long time. And to add him to the line was a really, really cool niche to that line, and I really thought that was like super cool to bring like a real life character into a toy line like that. And it'd be neat if
Yeah.
he was able to do other ones. I don't know what you have to pay those people.
He's tried. I think
Yeah.
he was supposed to have Gemini was supposed to be someone.
Yeah, Gemini was
Yeah.
supposed to be a WW or a MMA female fighter.
Okay.
Yeah, and
he's
Yeah.
got
the deal fell through, but he
yeah.
kind of worked it
Yeah.
around to make Gemini,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
what I
think when
really
we see
liked
the,
about-
oh, go ahead.
no, the Valaverse was that it was a new universe. It was
Yep.
it was a new mythology, and that's something that I think has been lacking for a long time. So that's why I really, attached to that. I got all the comics, read all the stories, and that was one part of the series. It's easy to take them and compare them, this dolly to that dolly, and talk about it that way. But it's like, I always liked all of it. It wasn't just the figures that I was interested in. I was interested in all of it. It was a big combined thing. So the comics, the additional stories, the file cards, all that
I think
appealed.
that's
to me.
what a lot of people miss nowadays, though, is like even as a kid. I mean, I was born in 73. Jim was born a couple years before that, and Jeff, you were born 74, right?
Yep.
And I mean, we all grew up at the time where like there was a lot of stuff on the shelves, right? Tons
Yeah.
of different things.
Yeah.
But I was never just interested in just the figures. Sometimes I had Star Wars figures
sure.
before I ever saw the movie, right? But it's like
Right.
I had my own little headcanon built up around that whole thing. And then when I saw what actually happened, my headcanon just got melded into that, what was actually there. And like G.I. Joe, right? It was comic books, cartoons, commercials, whatever my friend was doing with his and whatever I was doing with mine. It wasn't just, oh, these figures are awesome and they're better than this figure. I didn't care. It was like,
Yeah,
it's
well,
just
with
a
each
cool
new
figure.
toy line, it was kind of a new phase of discovery for us
Yep.
as a kid, kind of learning those things. It wasn't necessary, I always had my own team within G.I. Joe, that included some cool looking enemy characters.
Oh
that
yeah.
I converted, and did those things, but it just for the longest time, it just seemed like we were just kind of getting the same stuff over again, nothing new, and that's when, like I said, I saw, at that Joe Fest, the Action Force booth, I was like, oh, what the hell is this? This is good, and I jumped right on it.
Well, that's
One
like
of the things that we really enjoy too is, obviously we enjoy delving into the lore and the fact that there's world building, but Bobby went the extra mile with what he's doing with the Vanguard. It's like this thing has playability. It's to the right scale. It's got freaking cup holders. I mean, he's put everything and the kitchen sink in there and has made it modular to where whatever your play pattern, whatever you want to do with it, there's, it's very versatile and the price is good for what it is. I've been dipping my toe more into vintage. And so, I'd say about the only new stuff I'm into is still Action Force and hopefully Monster Force when that comes out.
Yeah,
Is that 1/12?
Monster Force is
is
1/12, but they're doing it at 1/18 also.
Both, okay.
Yeah.
But they're doing the 1/18 part as part of the Eagle Force line.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Are they doing a 1/12 Eagle Force?
Fiction has
Are they going to do 1/12 Eagle Force too?
that whole
a few
relaunch
key
of the Eagle Force,
characters.
which is
That'd
another
be cool.
serious cool thing, right? They got
1/12 Eagle Force would be really cool.
Yeah, we've seen.
they're doing Wild Bill in
talk about
1/12 right now.
Yeah, and at their
then a couple of
Voyagers
the,
or whatever they're calling them, the micro
the Voyager
the
line.
the not sci-fi micronaut kind of
Ed,
look.
Ed, did you ever think about getting that Boss Fight Studios wrestler? Is it the one that the one that looked like he would fit in with Action Force? Was it Krieger? Was that his name? I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, the one. Yeah, I never got him, but
no, I saw that figure the other day, and that I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but Boss Fight does the wrestling figures, and the one military-looking guy I thought would be a great villain for Action Force.
to
Mix and match that guy up to put him in there.
This year, I'm sticking primarily to the Monster Force and the Eagle Force 1/18 line because they got the 40th anniversary figures coming out. And,
yeah. Do you guys ever just? I have a bad habit of.
I'm going to be focusing on mostly, but
I have a bad habit when I go anywhere in a store or Goodwill or anything, looking for stuff that will fit with what I'm trying to do. Like I'll see this thing, I'm like, shit, I can make a jetpack out of that, or this would make a good whatever. And that's like a curse for me, but it's also,
No, I know.
I'm just like always trying to add something.
Right. Well, that's a great thing with all these deep clearance Ross and Ollie's figures is, I'm not looking for that figure. I'm looking for pieces, parts. Can I steal a head from one of those and use it? So it's like, if I can get discount figures and use them for kit bashing, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to look at something and, it's like, can I use some of the parts of this? And Will has turned me on to a lot of things that are not even meant for certain scales, but if you kind of squint and look, it's like, I could repaint that and do something with it and use it as a backdrop or a piece here or there. So it's fun.
Yeah, a lot of those monsters that you have, your creatures and cryptids, some of those ones, like is that a 4 horseman troll that you have behind you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
that would be a great one for a 1/6 scale.
He works great. He is the scale I think the intruders should have been as far as size.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So he works great. I found this Leonard, well, actually Gogitron found this Leonard Predator that is perfect scale, works fun. He'll work good with the cryptid crew. A lot of this stuff comes from lots of different manufacturers in different time frames. Some of it's vintage, some of it's recent. A lot of it is very inexpensive, and it's just a matter of looking at it and saying, will it play? And a lot of it does.
Yeah, that's what I usually do.
I've only picked up 1 or 2 where I was disappointed, mostly because everything I have to do is online because of where I live. You can't really tell proper scale when you're looking at stuff sometimes.
No, and Amazon, Target, all of them, they're horrible. Like if you type in a specific scale action figure, it'll give you results for everything.
Amazon is the worst.
Yeah, they
Case
are.
in point, I got Jackie Chan from his cartoon show, The Jackie Chan Adventures, because it's like he's perfect for the adventure team.
Is that where that's from?
Yeah, there was a cartoon show. It lasted for a couple of years. It was really good.
I didn't know that was from.
Oh man, it's fun. Unfortunately, they advertise this as a 1/12 figure. However, he ain't. You put him up against a Joe. He's huge.
No, it even says on the packaging, right? It said
12-inch figure. Yeah, but he's more like 14. He's more in scale with like some of the 14-inch Migos they did.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'll find a way to use him, but I really wanted to use him, side by side with the Joes. Now I'll have to try a little forced perspective or something.
I love that team you're coming up with. Like, I love that. That was such a cool trailer for that. Those are just super wackadoo awesome figures, man.
I was telling Jim the Dragon Models Jackie Chan figures are awesome. Remember those ones?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna take a look at that, and sometime this year I'll see what I can do about putting.
I don't know how much the Jackie Chans go for, but I sent him the Detective Chow, which is like the NYPD Asian dude.
Yeah,
he's always fairly reasonably priced. $20, $25 for the figure.
You can
for
find
Dragon Models mint in box, man, that's great, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, how did you come up with that? Like, what were you doing when you came up with that cool concept?
I mostly just trying to collect.
Meditating out in the jungle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Doing yoga.
Yep.
Recreational pharmaceuticals might have been involved. No.
Hell yeah, man.
Little mushrooms, yeah.
As I started putting my adventure team together, I'm looking at my stuff going, is there anything I have that I can use for doing photo stories or doing prop stuff? And just starting to pair things together and seeing what would work, like the troll, like other things that weren't meant for that 1/6 scale, but it's like, you know what? It'll totally work. And then looking at other characters and things. And I've always loved good storytelling. And I love, the kind of stories that the adventure team was based on, at least the little comics we used to get with the packs where they weren't super detailed. It was just to give you a soup starter to go and do something, whether it's, Spy Island or the Mummy's Curse or whatever, all that kind of stuff. I love the idea of seeing where this can go. I loved watching $6 Million Man as a kid. And I can totally see, he did all kinds of crazy stuff. He did spy stuff. He did, fighting with, robots and cyborgs and
Yep.
Bigfoot, cyborg Bigfoot,
You know,
aliens.
I think that's what's missing in the toy market today is actually a decent adventure-based toy line, right? And that's kind of where like Imagine X excel, or not Imagine X. Well, they do too, but Kid Connection and stuff, right? They got those dino sets and things like that, right? It's all just adventure-based. Now, yeah, it's still military and based on Jurassic Park. But I mean, you take that same concept and make a Kid Connection, where the guy's out catching Sasquatch or the Yeti or something like that. It's not that far of a step. And kids would gravitate towards that, right? A lot of parents nowadays, because of all the anti-gun stuff, really don't like the military line. The Hasbro stuff is, for the price in which you get, I'm sure these kids are breaking their Hasbro Marvel Legends in 2 seconds, right? If they do get them. Same with Star Wars, right? So they just need a really decent, beefy, adventure-themed toy line. I think it'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah, it'd be great. Back in the probably 2000s, late 90s, Toys R Us had that Discovery Channel line of figures.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And those
Lots
are really,
of
really
stuff.
cool.
Yep.
I bought those for my nephews back in the day, and those are really enjoyable.
Yeah, they were on the same line as the Kid Connections nowadays.
Yep. Very similar for sure. And just
all of us are Gen Xers. We all, cut our teeth creatively with adventure people. There wasn't a storyline.
Oh, yeah.
There was just cool stuff and figures, and you could just put them wherever and do whatever.
Yeah.
It
seems
and
like
we talked about those. Yeah.
The toys for the younger kids, that aisle seems to have really expanded, with like the Paw Patrol and Imagine X and all that.
Yep.
But after that, there seems to be a gap. There's not really much. And then it goes right to like the adult collectibles, like it seems like it's, preschool, that Imagine X up to like 6-7 years old. And then it's just like, here's a phone. I don't know.
Yeah.
I noticed this year at Christmas time, right? I remember for the past however long I can remember, you walk into Walmart at Christmas time and there was, the regular board game aisle, then they had like 2 shelves of board games just down like one of the main aisles. That didn't happen this year. There was hardly any board games in the stores at all this year. It's like no one, they just don't do that shit anymore, right? It's like
it's such an odd time.
Yep.
Such a good time too. Well, I have, 5 brothers and sisters, so a lot of board game, board flipping, I quit, and things like that. But a lot of good memories made too. You know what I mean? Those were fun.
Yeah, my kids when they were younger, Luke's Wi-Fi dropped with our windstorm going on, so that's why he popped off. But my ex-wife Ange and I and the kids, we play Monopoly or Yahtzee and whatever all the time with our kids, right? I mean, it was like it's just something we always did. We didn't let them. They had phones and shit, but we didn't let them be on there all the time. You got to manage that shit. But the parents nowadays usually just let the kid do whatever they want to do because they don't want to be bothered either. And that's the problem. I think it's so cool, Jeff, what you do with your kid. Like every Friday night you're out, on your hands and knees being a kid with them, right? That's awesome, right?
It's just playing,
And, 10 years from now when Oliver's the same age as Luke, Luke's going to be hanging out with you like Luke hangs out with me now, right? I mean, Luke's right there, he'll take pictures with me, go out to the crick with me and do the photographs and all sorts of stuff, right?
It's super fun. Yeah, I try to include him on as much stuff as I can,
right.
I know he's 5, so there's times he'll say when we go out to launch a model rocket, he likes to launch one model rocket. That's it. One model rocket, and then he's like, all right, let's go do something else, let me go find some deer shit and see if I can eat it. But I try to get him and expose him to as many things as I can. Kind of like when I was a kid, I had older brothers and we did a lot of crazy stuff. And, it's super fun. And you're right. It's something that I think is going to be valuable. Like you said, when he gets older, once or twice a week on my way to work, I put my phone on audio and I record a memo to him. I tell him what's going on. I tell him what's going on in the world, what's going on with him, what's going on with us, me and my wife, his grandparents, and just tell him what's going on. And then I've saved them all in a folder. So someday when he is old, like me, and he's just wondering what's going on, he can hit play on all these audio recordings and be like,
That's pretty
huh,
cool.
you know, because it's like a time capsule, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's what my YouTube channel is. It's a time capsule for him.
Yeah, I
You
also
know?
have I have a lot of times where I'll have a conversation with my son, and some of my favorite memories of their childhood they don't remember at all because it was
Yeah.
when they were like real young, like
Yep.
and they're like, I don't remember that. I was like, well, you had a really good time, trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. You had a good time. I spent a lot of money.
Yep.
The fact that you do a lot of rehab for vintage stuff, is that something you're hoping your son will also pick up as he gets older and can be with you in the workshop?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he comes down in the workshop and messes around when I'm down there. Teaching rehab, we talk about that a lot when like he'll break a toy or something, like, and I can fix it. He'll come
Yeah.
down and he'll watch me fix it, and I'll tell him what I'm going to do. I hope that he takes an interest in that at some point. I really hope he takes an interest in making things, like learning how to mold and cast, and more importantly, I'll probably buy a 3D printer at some point, and hopefully he can learn all that so I don't have to, and then we can collaborate on some stuff because
Sure.
I really want a 3D printer. I probably will get one here when he gets older, but right now it's just seems so daunting for me to try that,
I think that's part of why we saw this O-ring renaissance that has come about in the last few years. It's part of our toy zeitgeist, if you will, because the guys who were doing it are guys who played with the stuff like we did as kids and have imaginations and want to see things done. And it's like, if it ain't out there on the shelf, I'll fricking make it, man. And
I like that a
they're
lot.
doing it. Yeah.
I like it a
And
lot. I like all those lines that have came out, was it Strike Force Alpha?
Yep.
And what's the other one? There's two, right?
There's two that are Delta
There's
17 is coming out
Okay.
very soon. Probably by the end of this month, they'll be available.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, with Strike Force Alpha, we've been looking at that. A lot of folks have been talking about it, talking to some of the creators on it. And they're like us. They love good storytelling. They love the stuff from the 70s and the 80s, be it military drama or sci-fi or mix mash of all the good memes and stuff we like. And they're building that into what they're doing. And one thing I really enjoy is the fact that a lot of these guys, the attention to detail, not just in the engineering of the toy, which is good, but the storytelling. They want to do a comic book, or they want to, maybe someday get a cartoon going. They want to do something that is world building. And it's like, yeah, I'm all for that. That's awesome.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for innovation, creativity, and like you said, storytelling. I think that's something that's been missing for a long, long time. And I can definitely see stuff bubbling up from the bottom now with a lot of different scales, 1/18th, 1/12th, 1/6. And it's actually a really interesting time right now. And it's kind of cool how we've all started to like get in contact with each other and kind of cross-pollinate,
Yeah.
because for the longest time you had a lot of your 1/18th guys just do their own stuff together. They'd be in their own little universe and they wouldn't pay attention to what anybody else was doing. But now you're kind of seeing through, like with your channel, Ed's channel, Willhelm, bringing more people in from other areas, which I think is really, really beneficial to everybody.
And we've really tried to reach out to people who, maybe specialize in different scales or different genres. Our buddy Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, now Zazel's Clubhouse. He's very much into the classic Joe stuff. So, I approached him with the Operation Brainstorm. It's like, hey man, I love what you do with the Slaughterhouse Wrestling. How about doing an 80s sitcom with the Sarge or doing something in that vein? He's like, yeah, why not? I've talked to a lot of guys who do, Motu or some of the 1/12th military or superhero stuff. And it's like, get your noodle going, man. Let's do something that's a little different than what we've been seeing. It's like, I don't want to see somebody, say, here's my dolly. It has opposable, it's got paws. It can move. The head can move. It's like, okay, enough. Let's do something different. Let's expand that and play, you know, whether it's through storytelling or just fun photos. There's
I
a
think
lot
that's
we
the
can
part
do.
that's missing a lot now is that so many channels and stuff are focused on just growing their channel
Yeah.
that
Mm.
they've shifted over to just doing the stuff that everybody else is doing because it works for everybody else, right? And it's
Yeah.
like
Sure.
it's like, man,
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
I
and it's
think
okay if you want to do reviews, right? But you got to do something
Yeah.
more than just, you know, the
Well-
review. I mean, like every time Valaverse drops a new line or Joe drops out new characters, it's like you can go onto YouTube and see 18 million reviews of the same character, and it's all the same, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's only going to watch a couple of those, right? I watch Lawrence's because I like the way Lawrence does his reviews, but I'm not, and I might watch, you know, Rat Face 44 because he compares them to the vintage characters, right? But that's
Mhm.
pretty much it when it comes to, you know, figure reviews.
Well, I think that's the main thing about this YouTube thing, and kind of the reason why, you know, I'm here. It's I have the toys, I've got the things, I could go online, I could look, but there was something missing, and that thing was the human connection. You know, when we grew up, we discovered these things together. We threw our figures in a box and went to our friend's house and set up awesome backyard battles. You know, we went to the store together, we got stuff, we traded, we fought over, you know, figures. I'm just saying, like, it was, we were constantly out there sharing our experiences with others and meeting new people. And, you know, and like I said, you know, my entire childhood was just, you know, discovery, exploration, adventure. And that's the thing that's missing. So I'm sitting here with all my figures and I'm going, you know, I'm telling my wife about them for the 500th time. And she's like,
Yep. She's doing this,
all
right?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I heard about the time you and Vinny and he stuck one up his
Yep.
nose. Yeah. I heard it, you
Yep.
know, and I'm like, all right, well, so, you know, the Facebook groups, I found a lot of those groups are more like you're expressing yourself creatively on those groups and people aren't really interested in that aspect of it. It's more like a buy, sell, trade kind of
Mm.
place. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I
Right.
I
Or
found
show
the
off
childhood-
my new dolly, right? It's all it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I found like a
it's-
box
it's-
of my childhood shows and I set them all up and I went, holy shit, this is amazing, you know. And like one person was like, how much, you know? And I was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not selling them. I found these. This is awesome. And you know, they're not really interested. So I think a lot of those, you know, sites or there's just so many people in the groups that, you know, you post something and it just gets, you know, just scrolls away.
It either boils down to humble brags. It's like, I'm not going to say I have cool swag, but I have cool swag. You can see it. Or it's like you say, how much? Oh, you got this thing. How much? I want to buy it. I just want to
Yeah.
consume. It's like, what about
Yeah.
collaboration?
So
Yeah.
it's the
We're seeing a
camaraderie.
lot of
We're
that. Yeah.
friends here, and it's like we're kids. You know, like I said, one of my best friends growing up. You know, we're on the playground during recess, and he just went like, "Hey, you know who He-Man is?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know who He-Man is." You know, and he's like, "Well, I got some He-Man stuff. You got any?" I was like, "I got a couple. You want to come over?" Yeah, all right.
Oh,
And we went up.
You know,
You know, I loaded my stuff up after school, walked to his house, and had a blast. You know what I mean? And we're friends to this day. So you know, it's just like,
Well, Jeff and I, right? Jeff and I have been friends probably since what, 2012, 13, something like that, right? Somewhere around
Oh,
there.
I say, yeah, 12.
Maybe even
for
earlier than that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But like,
11 or 12.
yeah, him and I, we just started collaborating on, you know, just bounce the stories back and forth. And, you know, Jeff would build this. I'd be like, dude, I would love one of those. And he'd build me that. And I'd build something and send it off to him, or, you know.
and how much cooler is it that you could just talk, you know,
Right.
to each other face to face?
And I've
too,
never met
you know?
Jeff, but I still consider him one of my best friends. It's
Yeah,
like,
we
Exactly.
definitely would. And that's the cool thing about when you meet people who share the same passion for your hobby, is that you can get advice. Like you gave me advice on flocking, and we made cryptids and all these other cool things over
yeah,
the
I got a
last
whole
year.
bunch of motherfuckers flocking.
Yeah, you did. You're like the flock father. You know, man, you are. And it is really, really cool. And to me, it's fulfilling. And like having a YouTube channel is one of the more fun things that I do, you know, because I tried it. I tried to just do different stuff all the time. You know, I did my what's in the shop. I just wanted to share stuff with people. Like, this is what I found the other day, or I like just building stuff or restoring stuff. I try to keep it unique and not do the same stuff everybody else is doing, you know.
But you know, it's hard as an adult, right? Because like like Jeff, you have figures at work, right?
Yeah.
When I used to work in an office, I had figures, and there's always that one or two guys you can kind of be like, they're sort of into this one thing, or they remember this one thing, or,
Yep.
like they collect, like my one friend who I used to work with, he was really big into Superman, but it was all comics and cartoons and movies, right? It wasn't really, he had a couple of the figures, a couple statues, collectibles, but nothing like, he wasn't into figures like I am, right? But, we talk once in a while, but it's not like you can share that passion with a normal person that you're in contact with every day, right? It's like, as it just doesn't happen, right? And then a lot of the guys that do collect toys and figures when they're adults are still ashamed to be admitting that they're, toy collectors. It's like,
yeah, I've never been ashamed.
me neither.
I stopped mentioning it just because I got sick of explaining it. Because
exactly.
A lot of people, they come in and they just go, obviously, for years I used to just tell family members, in-laws and stuff like that, because they'd just be like, oh, is it worth a lot of money? Yep, that's why I do it. Yep. It's like such a simple, easy way to get them off your case and explain it, because like you can't explain it to someone who's not into it.
It's easier to say yes, they're worth money, than try to explain the feeling and the emotion that elicits when you walk in there, right? Like you come home from a bad day at work, you go into your toy room, and you're just like,
most people did not, like I would just get people like, what's this? Like I don't get it, and I'm just trying to explain to them. But I show people at work some of the pictures. There was what was it? One thing, the Santa hat that I put on my because at work I got this for my Rancor for my Christmas
your Rancor
greeting, and it was on like this little ornament, and I was like, oh, that's a perfect size hat. I need that, and they were like, for what? And I was like, you know what? I'll just tell you. It's for a Rancor monster. I want to put a Christmas hat on him. And, and then I showed them pictures after I did it, and they're like, cool. Yeah.
It's funny. Most people in my town that know me as a G.I. Joe person. So they'll see me out taking pictures of G.I. Joes, and they know who I am. It's got to the point now where people will Facebook me auctions, like local auctions that have G.I. Joes in them.
Yep.
Or people will get a hold of me and say, hey, I have a couple G.I. Joes. Are you interested in them? Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But it's like there's a weird deal around me now here in town where people know me as the G.I. Joe guy. Thankfully, I don't think they all know I have a YouTube channel.
But, I've had experiences like taking pictures of the crick where I'll be in the middle of taking a shot, and I won't even realize a person walks up.
Yeah.
And I'll turn around and there's two guys that have been hiking through the woods, and they're like just standing there watching me. They're like, what you doing? I'm like, I just take a picture. So like, oh, that's cool. What is this? That's just like the G.I. Joes I used to have. I'm like, yeah, that's basically what, it's just an upscaled version of that. Yeah. It's cool,
that's super weird when that happens too. When you're sitting there and you're trying to get all this stuff posed, and then somebody pulls up or walks up and they're like, are you playing with toys? I'm like, actually, no, I'm making something for my fucking YouTube channel, actually. You
remember that guy? His name was Glenn. I can't remember what his screen name was, but he was on a bunch of Facebook groups with us, and he was out in California, and he was doing a UFO story one time. And he made that UFO.
E.B. Herrick, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hetrick.
Yeah, Hetrick. He made that huge flying saucer.
Yeah, and he
oh no,
he was out taking pictures at this local park in California. And like these four people walked up and they're like, oh, what you doing? They had two kids. It was a couple with two kids, right? And next thing you know, the father's like holding the spaceship up for him to take the pictures. Kids are helping him pose. It's like, he's like, man, I had all this help. It was like,
I'm telling you, it's infectious. Yeah, fun is infectious, man. You're having fun. People want to join you. It's pretty cool.
It is great. I don't know what else you'd want to be doing with your stuff. Just going out and having fun with it. I mean, shit.
Yeah. It's like, I'll tell you what, Lawrence, because Lawrence is always picking on me about sticking my fingers in the mud. He's like, I can't believe he took that $50 mezco and put it in the mud. I'm like, it washes off.
Dude, the worst feeling, though, going hiking out into the woods, walking through the woods, taking all your shots and getting back to the truck and realizing you dropped a piece.
Oh,
and you're like,
yeah, you and Adam were talking about that, man. Oh,
that's bad.
I take everything. I take one figure and I have a bunch of like the Ziploc gallon bags,
Uh-huh.
and whether it's a 12-inch or a 1/12 or 1/18, I put one figure with all accessories in one bag, and then I put another figure in another bag and another figure in another bag, stick them all in my backpack, and I go. That way I don't lose anything because I don't take them out till I get to where I'm at, and it's like,
Oh, dude, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah, I'm going to be going on location. There's a lot of great ruins near me. I've done a little bit of scouting, but it's the rainy season, so it's kind of muddy, and some of the trails, unless you've got like a 4-wheel drive that can really handle it, it's
Mhm.
tough to get to some of the more remote spots. But that's the plan for this year, is to get out of the lair and actually go do more stuff out in the world. And the few times I've been out, it's a novelty here because a lot of these folks didn't grow up with the mass market toys that we have in the continental US. So it's going to be interesting to see people's reactions when I'm setting up shots and doing stuff like this. It'll be, I have a feeling people are going to really get into it, or they're just going to think I'm a crazy gringo. Either way, I'm cool.
So do you have, how many stories do you have planned, or do you have any planned, or are you just winging it?
Yes. No, I've got several.
Okay, cool.
It's an ambitious year. We're doing a couple of different things. Some I'm collaborating with Will. Some I'm collaborating with people all over the world. From Australia to Ireland to who knows where, all points in between. And so a lot of it is just experimental. It's stuff I've never tried. We're going to see if it works. If it doesn't, at least we tried, and we'll figure out maybe something different for next year. But
you know what, Jeff? What
Yeah.
Largo just said gave me a brilliant idea. We've all done the travel and Joe. You and I have, right? Where you
Yep.
take the Joe and you send
pass it
out,
along.
pass
Yeah.
it along, right? What if we did a travel and Joe, and every time Joe got to whatever it was, instead of adding something to the box, we added part of his story.
Yeah, you have to
Nice.
just continue a photo story. That'd be cool to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because
Just
we now,
take him-
I mean, it's expanded now, right? Like we really know people from across, in New Zealand and Australia and Ireland and, Germany and all these
Yeah.
places now, right? I mean, you could really get that, and like Jim, right? Jim lives by ruins. I mean, how cool would it be to have, and then just do like one whole YouTube or Instagram page just for that story thing, right? That'd be,
Just a couple photos of
Yep.
that guy.
yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd be a cool thing. That'd be really ambitious, and that'd be kind of fun to do for sure.
Yeah. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Just,
So with my limited technology and the shipping issues, because that's not always great these days here, since the coof, things have gotten sideways with shipping for a lot of people. I have to try to work with what I got, and doing a lot of stuff virtually helps. As far as storytelling, obviously I'm doing stuff with the 1/6 scale, and I've kind of broken up the team into sub teams as I think they fit. So there's, kind of the superhero vibe with, Captain Action and the Atomic Man, Bullet Man, those kind of guys. I've got some sci-fi cosmic stuff when I get the Super Joes built. I'm going to be doing the regular, regular Joes. The land, sea, and air guys are going to do their kind of thing separate from those. I have a updated Action Man from the 90s. It's going to be my
nice.
super spy.
Great
He's going to
head
hang
sculpt.
out with.
That is an awesome.
Yeah, I love that head sculpt.
Yep.
Great head sculpt.
He'll be hanging out with Danger Girl doing espionage and spy stories. So
I dig it.
they're all getting baked right now. I've got the teams put up together. The Cryptid crew is what I've been working with right now, building and kit bashing the characters that are going to be involved in that and getting all the cryptids together. I've got most of what I want, enough to do some storytelling. The cryptid crew is going to be going on location the most because of the ruins and stuff that I have at my disposal. The other stuff,
The spy guys would work there too, though, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna experiment and try some forced perspective stuff. I might try a little bit of green screen for where I don't have props and things that fit with the scale.
Well, I'm going to give you some
just-
advice, Jim. You can either plan it out or you can wing it. But the best way that I found that works is I just go out, take a bunch of pictures, and then I bring it home, and then I figure out I have a basic idea of what I want to do, right?
Yep.
Like this is the Guatemalan gremlins, like you said, right? Or like that one I did with the alien thing. Like when I went out to the woods, The only thing I had in my mind was "You're not welcome here," and then I did that whole photo story out in the woods with the Magnum PI covert condor figure and the predator, and I came back and did a couple indoor shots because I needed a couple of those, but then that was it. Everything else was just on a wing with just that one line in my head that "You're not welcome here." I was like, that'll work. Went out there and did it, right? Because sometimes it's easier than trying to plan out a whole storyboard before you go out, because then you're too focused on, well, I need to have this figure just right, and I need to have this figure just right, and have this figure just right. And to start with, I mean, once you get into it, like Jeff and I have been doing it for years now, it's a lot easier. But I still prefer to wing it.
Once you get one under your belt, you kind of really just it's almost like it's unstoppable after that.
Yeah,
we got a lot of people doing them now. I mean, Robert from Max Sogs finishing an epic one right now, and Adam's always working on them, and you're doing one now. And we got some other guys who are trying to get into it too, and I think it's really cool because it just fosters creativity, in a lot of people.
Yeah,
I like it.
The challenge I'm finding is scheduling and time. Mostly because doing a photo shoot like that, gathering everything up, going out to, some of these locations are pretty remote. This is like a 2-3 day project, just getting the shots, then getting back, doing the editing, figuring out all that stuff. Plus all the other projects I have for the layer that are branching into some more, like I said, mostly storytelling and ideas, plus collaborations I'm doing with Will, with the 1/8 team, things we want to explore there. Again, everything is gravitating towards storytelling of one sort or another. It's like when we review a new line of figures, we're not looking so much at the engineering of the dolly. We're looking at what's the story? Is there a story? Where are you going with this? Who are these characters? So it's a different approach. And it works for us, and it's where we start. And that sometimes will inspire, what if we did a story like this with our figures and did, this kind of photo shoot or whatever. So the two kind of work together.
Yeah. I really like that, the collaboration thing, you know what I mean? Like, I love seeing that. And, if you're going to go between channels, an example I could think of, it was like when we did the chat made mech contest, a lot of people were buying them. I was seeing a lot of people that I know showing up with them. They found them in their local Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
And, we just did a contest more for fun, but it was cool seeing everyone come together and kind of put their own spin on it.
That was cool. That was cool. You had some good entries.
And, there's another YouTuber who I just saw put out another video recently, and if I could share a screen real quick, I just want to show you guys this because it's pretty crazy.
Feel free, Will. Share your screen. Go ahead.
Sure. So this is let's pop it up. A World Made of Cardboard.
I love this guy.
He is amazing. I got to meet him at Joe Fest. John is just such an awesome dude. We've talked with him on stream before. So he just put out this model here, the Build a Starfighter. That just came out, I think a week ago, and unfortunately I've been busy, so I haven't been able to work on it. But you know what? I printed it out today, and I'm building it now. But look at this thing. It's a 1/18 scale. You print it out on some cardstock. He gives really beautiful, detailed instructions on how to do it, and it's fully functional, and you got to just watch his video. So if I could go back over there, just show you at the end of his video, and I don't know how much, I'm not going to show all of it, but at the end of his video here, where is it? Nope, that's not it. Wrong one. Hold on.
I think you closed your share screen, Will.
Oh, I did. Okay. Well, anyway, he takes it out on the street, and he's running around with it, and he's holding it in his hand, and he's flying around. That canopy opens. You could put a 1/18 scale figure in it. I got the pieces here. I started working on it a little bit today. But,
I bet you that'd be easy to scale up to 1/12.
Probably.
I am not good at this kind of stuff. And his instructions are great. And it's coming out it's coming out really nice. He's done a couple of these. He does these He's a very talented person. He puts these kits out. He's done 2 bases, an alien base and a hero base that you could make, and it's modular, so you could expand it and make it. They're pretty durable. I've done both the bases, and now I'm working on the ship, but I'm going to bring it up on my show on Sunday,
Cool.
and plug it. And I would just love to see, because all you got to do is download it, man. You buy some card stock. I think this pack of card stock cost me $5,
Oh, yeah.
and printed
Yeah.
them
Especially
out.
1/18 scale, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
There
was
was
And
this
custom
guy,
stuff
remember?
doesn't have to be crazy expensive. It's imaginative. Will had a great guest on a few weeks ago who takes cereal boxes and other found cardboard
yeah.
and builds
Yeah.
custom stuff that's just
there was this guy
beautiful.
on Facebook years ago. I don't know if he still does it, but he would build like 1/6 scale Jeeps and tanks and buildings.
Yeah, I
on
remember that
nothing but
guy.
cardboard boxes. You remember that guy?
Yep. I
I
do
mean,
remember
like
that guy.
they looked legit real. Like he
Yeah.
would do like a whole
Yeah.
World War II diorama of like some destroyed French
and that's awesome.
town,
but,
right? And it was
you
all
know,
out of cardboard. It was
yeah,
incredible.
I feel like his channel is just criminally, underviewed. And what I would love is if me, because I'm making one, a handful of us made these and actually, went outside and kind
Oh,
of
I'll do it for sure.
and send those to
Yeah, I'll-
John
I'll
and
get on. I'll check that
you know,
out.
Yeah.
just make it. It's a fun project. It only takes, a couple hours to do, and
Well,
you're
that's
gonna
like
have a
those
good
kits
time.
that what's his name makes, Jeff. What's the guy's name?
Oh, Randall
Randall,
Wall.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kits that he makes, they're
Yeah.
incredible kits, but man, they are frustrating to build.
They are.
And of course,
Mm.
the ones that Randall does don't come with like really good instructions either, right? They just
No, he has
No.
great
Yeah, I've
instructions.
got-
yeah.
You got
I've
that
got
one?
one. I'm afraid to open it because I know it's going to be a major project.
Well, I've
I've
built
got a
I built two of I built 2 of them, and I started with the cryo tank, which I think is the most difficult build. And I'll tell you, read carefully and take your time.
Let me
Yeah.
show you because I screwed this up, but I just want to show you the the part where he's just come on. That's
Right,
so
hold
much fun. Look at that.
that is an awesome
Yeah.
ship.
Yeah,
know-
that's great.
You know what that would be cool with? The Eagle, is it the Eagle Force Super Joe looking guy? Is it
Oh
Joe
yeah,
Brody?
what's his name?
Is
Yeah.
it Joe Brody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Brody.
Yep.
He's
That would be
awesome. The black
Cool
suit.
to put that one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
just
I take the back of that and add like a 1/18 scale R2D2 dome, just a dome of his head on the top.
Yeah.
I wish I
sure.
could produce something like that, and it's like that's such a good medium to share with the community.
Paper,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
paper
Because it's
modeling
something
is
that
really cool.
everyone could probably access, get into, and like one of the things, like if I were to ever make something, it's like not only do I want to make it and show it off, but I want to distribute that. I want people to be able to
Yeah.
to make that as well.
Yeah,
So,
we need to
know,
spread
And we're
that. We need to
seeing-
spread that guy's love a little bit because he's
yeah,
definitely underrated.
I'd love
For
to.
sure.
we're seeing different aspects to our collecting circle of people who are really creative and willing to share that creativity. Random Diorama or Radnom the Wizard, if you want. He does great stuff, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not really a big toy collector. He just likes building models, and he's really good at it. And he shows what he does, and it's very zen to just watch him create and get some great ideas. And the stuff he's building, you can do if you just put your mind to it, and with a few very simple tools that aren't expensive, you can do your own diorama stuff. We've seen guys that turn their room, instead of having a bunch of detolfs that are just like a museum, they're turning their shelves into a whole city where
Yeah.
you've
They
got
have a whole
dioramas set up, and
It's called
yeah.
the World Makers Consortium.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, and they all kind of get together every Friday night and share, stories and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's a great community. as
So,
well.
Will, at Joe Fest in Joe Fest, do they have the diorama competitions there?
They didn't have it last year, but the year before they had it, and it was pretty cool. And 2021 they had it. They also had it in 22, but it was a lot smaller. But yeah, there was some cool stuff, but they didn't have it in 2023. And because I wanted to make something, and I got about halfway through and then realized that was in over my head and kind of had to scrap the idea. But yeah.
Sorry, Travis is pulling his shit. He just called me.
Is that him?
That's his signature move now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think we saw some changes in how toy collecting has evolved in the last few years. Part of it was everybody being shut down and locked up and locked in and not being able to get out. So a lot of people, gravitated to trying it out. Some of them are jumping out of it. They're selling their collections. It was a fad. But what it did do is it brought people together who maybe wouldn't have connected otherwise. I think of things like Icon that, Tony from Analog Toys and Michael and Melinda from Retro Blasting spearheaded to get other people together and do a virtual con experience. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that spirit of collaboration, we're seeing that with, like Oz and his gang, Zazel and his crew. So different pockets of people that have like minds of, want to be creative, want to be collaborative. If you like Motu, there's guys that are into that. If you like Joe, there's guys that are into that. If you like modern sci-fi and superhero, there's guys that are doing that. So get in where you fit in. And that's what's exciting to me, is seeing how things are evolving and how people spend their time with their collection. And it's not all just vanilla poses and glass shelves and dusting. It's having fun.
Yeah.
Dusting's not fun.
I know you've tuned in a couple of times, Jeff, on Saturday night, but you should come on some night. It's an open link for anybody that's known on Saturday night on Ostradamus Toys Clubhouse. It's a fun time.
You have to send that to me.
Yeah. We usually start at like 9:45. And I mean,
Jeff, what you have to do is you have to
get
go
off
to the chat
at 7
and you
a.m.
have to write, I am not what is it? I am not a troll. Trust me.
I'm not a robot.
Yes. I'm not a robot. I'm not a
bot.
Yeah, I can get you the link and bring you on sometime. Do that.
Yeah, do that. Send it to me sometime. I don't know when, but probably here next month or two, probably.
Yeah, just let me know when. I'll send it to you, because it's open as long as somebody sends you the link within the club, right? So
yeah,
I love the fact that there's like an emerging shift change too. It's like the early part, there's one crew, and then somewhere around midnight, 1 o'clock, there's another crew that comes in for the late shift.
At midnight, we get the West Coast Avengers that come on. We got like Brick and Kayla and all the West Coast guys that are, they're only at 9 o'clock at night. Their night's just beginning, We're on, me and Oz are on there, and Oz is in Maryland, and him and I are like 6:30 in the morning. These guys are like, oh, it's 3:30. We got to go to bed. Oz and I are like, bed? What the hell is that? Who's bed?
I try to tune into, like, every time you guys have something live on, I'll try to make it on there for like maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Hit the like button always and leave a comment or something. Yeah. I don't always catch everybody's stuff.
You can pretty much put on YouTube any night of the week and there's someone
it's so hard now. It's so hard nowadays.
You can't catch everything, but yeah.
Yeah, my time is so constrained now. It's just like I Fridays are usually my days to make videos because I'm off on Fridays, and then my son's at school. So I have about a 3-hour window to do as much as I can. And I do as much as I can in that window, It's
kind of for that reason I like the short form content too, Like people keep it under 10 minutes. It's great because I could watch that real quick on a break or, doing some other business.
I'll tell you, like, Will, I wasn't, I mean, like, I had 1/18 scale, of course, when I was a kid, right? But like, I haven't thought about 1/18 scale realistically since forever, except I had a couple of Gabriel Lone Ranger figures. That was about the closest I got, and then of course I got my Fisher Price Adventure people. But
I picked some of those up at Joe Fest last year. Yeah.
Those are my old school ones, right? Yeah. But those are mine from when I was a kid. But like watching your channel and just seeing like all the click and play and the Kid Connection, and then all the new figures coming out and the new lines, I'm like, damn, there's a lot of shit that's cool in the 1/18 scale still.
We're all enablers. Of course,
you got it. I went out and bought 2 fucking Eagle Force guys because you and Chad were talking about it the one day. Like,
yeah. There's so many cool scales.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Adam, Judge of the Lost Chronicles. Hey.
Hey, what's up, man?
Another great storyteller.
Oh yeah, we'll have to have him on with us some night. I didn't know. I forgot. Didn't even think about inviting him today, but
yeah. He's probably busy making a Mike Power photo story right now.
Yeah.
So he's got a really cool one coming.
Thanos Copter, man. A 1/18 scale StarCraft line. I would love that, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be so cool. I would love that.
That'd be really cool. I like to see a brand new 1/18th
I don't think so.
A-team line, right? Somebody had
my
a did you post a concept out the other day, Willhelm, maybe?
That
on
was
Instagram?
Lone Wolf Toys.
Yeah, that guy does
Right.
some awesome
that
stuff.
was cool.
Yeah, the
Ramen
figures.
Toys is doing that
Right.
1/12 bread car, which is the
Yeah.
A-team van.
Yeah,
I
I've
got to
seen
get
that.
the 1/12 scale A-team figures.
I've got
for
the
sure.
original Galoob, and then I've got the movie A-Team van, and
Yeah.
the one from the movie that came out. What was that, like 2012 or something?
Yep.
You know?
That was an awesome movie.
It was a good
Yeah,
movie.
and those figures are pretty well made, but they're
Yep.
they're really pricey, man.
Yeah.
Who made
on the
those?
shelves for
They were very limited when they came out. That's why.
who made those? It was a strange company. It wasn't even.
Yeah, it
like
wasn't a
Hasbro.
normal- it was a-
It
yeah,
it was like Greenlight or something.
Yep.
were they at retail?
Yep.
Yeah,
Very
they were at,
limited,
like,
though. They
Walmart,
were
but
very
very
limited.
very short period of time.
Huh.
And that's why I think they're so expensive, because they weren't made in a huge run, and they were on shelves for a very short.
Yeah, because
period of time.
they had that van with the figures, and then they had
Mhm.
BA and Hannibal in 12-inch, but they were more like statues than actual action
Yeah.
figures. But
And
that was it.
They were pretty good, but like I
Yeah.
said, I got the van at a decent price. It's still more than I wanted to pay for it, and it's a lot bigger than like the Galoob one. For
Yeah.
like O-ring figures, they're kind of swimming in it, but for 4-inch figures, they're okay. It's decent.
I want to get the bread van, and then I got the General Lee coming from Ramen Racers. So
Yeah.
so I'll have my Duke boys and the A-team hooked up together. I just got to get the figures made.
Ooh, you should do a little story, a
Nice.
little.
Oh yeah, don't worry, that'll be coming.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, Jazz.
I've been trying to
Jazzware.
figure out in my head how I'm going to make the General Lee jump the crick. So that's
Yeah.
my main goal this summer.
Nice. But yeah, that was Jazzware made those figures.
Yeah, Jazzwares. That's who it was. Yep.
Jazzware. Yep.
Well, Adam brings up a good point, in a roundabout way. We all have kind of our own, collaborative efforts. And, we've had certain people that are really good at scavenger hunting, toy hunting, or they're just in a geographical location where there's some vintage toy shops or swap meets that some of us don't have access to. So Adam's been helping me, and as has Jeff, with building a Super Joe or two to put in my line.
Yeah.
I just don't have access to parts very easily unless I want to go to Evil Bay and pay, ridiculous prices.
I can tell you, Jim, even in New York, right? I live in Western New York. I used to get so jealous when I was really strictly into 1/12 or 1/6 scale, because like Jeff would be like, "Hey, I got this auction, and I'm looking on Craigslist and on eBay and everywhere, and it's like nothing around here, right? And if it was around here, it was so ridiculously expensive that it wasn't even worth what they were asking for. But it said GI Joe, so it has to be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. But vintage. Put that vintage word on there and dollar signs.
It wasn't even vintage. It was like Hall of Fame garbage or something, right? It was like
rare. That's
Yeah.
always rare.
Yeah. Largo, if you ever need parts, let me know what you need, and I can always send you a little care package. I got
I appreciate that.
a ton of shit. I mean,
I
just take a look
would
behind me.
assume. Yeah. I'll put a list together. I'm sure there's some bits and pieces. I'm always looking for little things. Like I always need, web belts. I'm always looking for a good pair of boots, just the little stuff. Some things, like with Cotswold, they carry more stuff that's classic or vintage accessories that don't really work so great with some of the super articulated and other figures.
Right.
But
I know
as
I had
far
a
as
whole collection
uniforms
of the really nice 21st Century Toys belts with the actual clip buckle. And
Yeah.
I can't even find those things, but I had such a nice, those belts were the best belts ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still search for things on eBay sometimes if I need like a niche item, that I don't have, or I have, but I don't want to kit bash, But I've got a lot of stuff. I mean, I've got almost everything I need, but my God, sometimes I still got to put an order in the Cotswold to get something.
Oh yeah. I try to, get at least everything because of the shipping, because of, just the financials of it. It's like, if I'm going to do a Cotswold, it's like, I don't want to just get one little part here and there. It's like, I want to do a big order. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Does
like,
Cotswold
just
have a
make a
minimum
list.
order buy now? I heard they did.
I think it's the minimum for shipping. I think it's $25 still.
Yeah. Which is easy to do because it adds up quick when you start, putting things in your cart.
It does, man. I love that place, but yeah, it definitely adds up. for sure. What's that, Ed?
I'm sorry, I froze. My Wi-Fi froze up. Like I said, we're in a 70-mile-an-hour windstorm up here. So, but yeah, like Cotswold, remember they used to have like the minimum buy was like 25 or $50, something like that.
Yeah.
Then they went to the complete website, and then they got rid of it, and then they brought it back. But
yeah, the shipping, they're a little higher on shipping.
I found one of my receipts a couple weeks ago that was from Cotswold in the old Cotswold shipping box with the green label sticker. Remember those ones?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the one where you actually had to get the catalog out, call them with
them up
with the part number and how many you wanted. Then you send them a check. You waited, 2 weeks for your check to clear, and then 2 weeks later you might actually get your stuff. It was like,
that's awesome.
That reminds how I used to order Bandai Godzilla figures when I was in junior high from Club. I think there's this place out in New York called Club Daikaiju. I was in the back of some. I think it was in the back of Starlog or Fangora magazine, and I still have them. I should do a video on them. My measly Godzilla collection that I love. But
yeah, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I got some gnarly stuff.
I remember catalogs. There was a J.C. Whitney catalog. I used to order car parts for. Same way, and there was this catalog company in the 90s. It was kind of like Sharper Image, but it had a bunch of like just kind of nerd stuff, ninja knives, fantasy knives, and stuff like that. I forget what it was called. I have some of them still sitting around, but I ordered a couple of those things back in the day.
Does Cotswold still send out a catalog, Jeff?
Yeah, they do it. They do it like quarterly, I think.
Okay.
They still do it. But the downside of their catalog right now is like if they'll like say Sean's going to do a brand new 3D printed item, and by the time
you see it, it's already sold out.
Yeah, that's been something. It's been something that's happened a few times lately. Like I did that review of that mission to the Isle of Doom.
Yeah.
And by the time I got it and did the review, I think they had 2 left. So when my review dropped, it was sold out.
Yeah, if they're going to put that stuff in the catalog, they need to wait till, everybody gets the catalog and then, ship the catalog out, wait 2 weeks, and then drop it onto their website, right? So
that's something I don't agree with them on is doing the limited runs of this stuff because, like, I don't know what we're doing here. Like, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to?
The problem is that Greg got burned because they came out with all those sets that were like just uniform pieces with like those Schleich animals or whatever those animals were, right? And they weren't great. And he got his ass burned on a lot of those because he made too many of them, and they were just sitting around getting clearanced out on his site. So I think he got really, gun shy. And I mean, honestly, the 1/6 scale market has dropped off a lot, right? I mean, guys aren't buying that shit as much.
Yeah.
There's certain sets that they have, like the Grunga toys, when they do the head sculpt plus uniform, like they did with the Cyborg, the $6 Million Man. They did Tarzan. They did a Charles Bronson.
Right.
Those are fantastic, but man, they're gone like that if you don't jump on it when it comes. And I've missed a lot of that stuff.
Sydney doesn't make too many of those because I was messaging him on Instagram about it. And he doesn't make a lot of them, and he'll do more runs of it, and because Cotswold will put them up for pre-order. I do like that that's what they're doing right now is like with the 3D printed stuff from Sean. They're actually putting it up for a pre-order.
That's the way to do it. Then you know how many you need to buy.
Yeah. What I really wish they do, and I don't message Greg very much because he's probably busy. He probably doesn't want to hear me give my opinion anyway. But I wish I love their sets, their deluxe sets, but I love the gear in them more. I wish they'd make more gear sets, and that was my biggest critique of the G.I. Joe Collector Club, especially in the 1/6 scale arena. Was they did a lot of nice convention deluxe sets. They never did enough gear for the figures. They'd always do a subscription figure or a membership figure with an add-on gear pack, and then nothing. You get nothing from them as far as any kind of stuff. And I just always
Right.
thought it'd be better to have I'd rather have some of the gear so I can use that gear for my own photo stories than the outfit.
Yeah.
Does that
Well,
make
that was
sense?
the cool thing about like the 21st century toys, right? Because even the uniform sets
Yeah.
came with so much gear that the
Yeah.
uniform set itself was just kind of a
Yeah.
throw in, right? It was like hat, backpack, rucksack, boots, guns, knives, belts.
Yeah, that Mission to the Al Doom set's super cool. I mean, it's a great set. I'm going to do a photo story with it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I do like a lot of Sean's 3D printed stuff. It's really, really unique. When I have Jim on this coming week to talk about 3D printing, I'm going to definitely ask him about, one-off creations and stuff. And
I think that's one of the things, like what Adam's mentioning here, right? The old Hasbro gear packs and accessories.
yeah,
When they did the whole. I mean, that was GI Joe, right? The Razor and Blades marketing scheme, right? You sell the
Mhm.
Razor, and then everybody's going to buy the blades with it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And even in a Real American Hero, you had the battle packs, right? Which might be
Battle
stands and
packs.
backpacks and helmets, and then you get one that's handguns and rifles and something else, right?
Right.
How many
Right.
of those did we all go and buy? Because we all lost all those little tiny fucking weapons, right? And that
Sure.
was the whole point of the adventure
Yeah.
team and the original GI Joe. I think that
That's
like
one
if
thing
Hasbro
Valaverse
or
has done
Valaverse
very
was to
well
do
too.
something like that, they could
Yep.
make
Well-
a killing on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think
Bobby
for
Bobby
sure.
has approached the idea of maybe doing, beyond just the figures, but doing the weapons packs, doing the additional gear packs that he's
Yeah.
doing with some of the additional head sculpts he's putting out
Bobby's
now.
got a little bit
He's
of that.
going
but-
in that direction.
Yeah, I think what Bobby needs to do is like his gear packs are awesome, right? Like I love the gear packs, but they're themed, right? So it's green and it's going to go with a guy in camo or green, or it's desert color, or it's black for SWAT or law enforcement, right? He just needs to
Mhm.
make like a decent set of like several weapons, a couple of different helmets, and a couple different like vest or belts or whatever, right? Put it all in together and just mix it up and let it just roll. And he can sell
My
that just
guess
out of
is as the line continues and he has more molds at his disposal, we'll see more variety
Yeah.
packs like that in the future.
Hasbro's missing that boat. I mean, they got enough. I mean, nobody wants
yeah.
their weapons now anyway because they're garbage. But I mean,
Too
like,
small.
if they made decent weapons that were decent, they could definitely capitalize on that.
What's this new line
Right.
that Valaverse is making? The Dragon?
Oh, it's based off of a movie that what's his name from Power Rangers.
That yeah.
That was it.
Was it Bad in the
Somebody
Sun?
in the chat
or-
knows. It was the last movie that he made before he passed away. That
Was it popular, the movie?
it hasn't even come out yet.
Oh, shit. So it's like a Crow type scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he's doing the action figures for that.
Yep.
Huh,
Yeah.
That's cool.
So he had a big license and he lost that license somehow or other. There was a bad deal or something that happened. And I'm assuming from the way he talked, that was a big license, like something, was huge, right? That deal fell through. And then he went out and picked up this
Legends of the
IP.
White
with,
Dragon, I
this
think.
Power Rangers
Yeah,
movie with the bad
yeah.
guy, the White Dragon.
I don't know the Power Rangers enough, but
Adam, tell us how you really
this
feel.
is a yeah.
Jason
Yeah,
David,
it's-
thanks, Travis.
Yeah, this is a I guess you would call it a Power Rangers homage. It's their own
Yeah.
separate IP, but it's kind of in that theme. So it'll be
Okay.
interesting to see where that goes.
Guys, keep talking a second. I'll be right back.
So the figures are the
All right.
figures coming out.
they're based on the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie, they're going to
They'll-
come around the same time as the movie, or
I think they're going to come out before the movie, but
Okay.
probably sometime around the same time he's putting out Series 5, which will be I don't know, maybe second quarter of this year, because he's gearing up and he just put out I've lost track of what series numbers he's calling them, but he's doing like the winter themed guys right now. He's got some other stuff that's some of it's repaint, but some of it's some new models, new heads. And then Series 5 is where we're going to see a lot more new characters. And beyond that, don't know yet. So I know he's got plans.
it's a very interesting and cool line that he's got going on. And I've followed it since day one. Of course, I just found it interesting to see a former employee of Hasbro who, you know,
Yeah.
left
And
and
it's-
decided to follow his dream, you know, and I don't see a lot of people do that when they get, you know, when they leave somewhere they've worked for a while, you know, and he's done an awesome job by just creating something basically out of thin air and making it very,
Yeah.
very
It's-
successful.
I think, yeah, whether you're into it or not, you know,
Yeah.
you still have to kind of respect that. It's not easy to, you know, conceptual. Everyone's got great ideas, but to implement them and have a toy line come out and, you know, make it an actual product and have it be as successful is just, you know, it's really a wonderful achievement. And, you know, there's a lot of companies doing it now. And, you know, I think I'm grateful for it because, like I said, I feel like they're making the best stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they have the guardrails that a corporation has, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, there's pros and cons to it. Bobby has the advantage of having a lot of industry knowledge, knowing what it takes to get a factory to get things put together, how to get a mold made correctly, what tolerances plastics have to be, and some of those measurements are just really super small, and just a slight difference in a micron can make a difference whether an elbow works or doesn't work, or a hip joint. Things that, you know, as collectors, we don't think about.
Yeah.
We just know, you know, it works or it doesn't. The tolerances in some of that stuff, it's crazy what you have to know as far as the math and understanding what the plastics can and cannot do, and different types of plastic. I
I'm
think
really
a lot of
looking
these
forward to
Kickstarter guys have great ideas, but they don't do the homework and due diligence to see, yeah, there's a lot that goes into just
a lot of
getting one
engineering.
figure
Yeah.
made. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
I think
interested
you-
in seeing how those fist figures come out, the ones that are getting made in South America. That guy's doing the 3D models and making the figures in South America.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's called the Fist.
It's kind of, yeah, another interesting
You can find
storyline.
it on
Basically
IT.
taking orcs versus mercenaries type thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So it's a fun idea.
So Jeff, do you remember I was packing up a bunch of shit because I'm eventually
still
gonna
have
be
that.
moving. Do you still have that?
Yeah.
I found one of these the other day. I'm gonna send it to Largo eventually when I
Yeah.
send my
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah, I still have yours right there. It's hanging up in my workshop.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't
That'll-
remember if I sent you
that'll
one
be
back
a-
today or not. I thought I did, but
Yeah, I got one. It's in my workshop. So
See, that needs to be in the headquarters diorama right on the wall, you know.
Yeah.
does Bobby, does he do all the sculpting himself? Like all the digital sculpting? Is he the primary sculptor?
he
Or does he have a
doesn't do the
team of-
sculpting. He does the designs, and then
Designs,
he has
okay.
somebody sculpting for him.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
sculpting in the articulation, right? Doing a 3D render of a figure in a static pose is one thing, but then cutting in the articulation,
Somebody else does that.
the tolerances for how, you know, how tight this joint can be to, you know, have the friction but not, you know, lock up or not be too loose and all that stuff, right? That's
Right. In some of the interviews he's done, mostly he's got a little bit of knowledge from his days working in the comic book industry. So he'll draw up, he'll mark up what he thinks the character should be, creates the design. He has multiple sculptors that he's worked with on and off. As far as weaponry, Mark II Design is one of his go-to guys because he's
Yeah.
very good at getting accuracy and scale.
Yeah.
As far as his head sculpts, I don't know exactly who he's working with, but they've done some really good stuff. I know he just kind of, I think that's more of a, what do you call it? Freelance kind of thing. He'll hire people as needed when he's
he does that
working
a
on
lot.
something.
Like his female figures, all the package art was done by a couple of different people that he'd met that has submitted, you know, just fan work that he liked, and he just, you know, contracted with them because they were artists to do.
That's really cool.
design. Yeah.
That's really cool. I find that interesting. Just
That's
how
the
all
one
that-
nice thing I think about, like with the smaller companies, like the Savage Crucible. They got that
Oh,
Nikki
yeah.
Nicole, right? She's doing all those the paint work on the Savage Crucible things, right?
Yeah.
Crazy painting, right? But these people are like the ones I can't remember their names that are doing the soft goods for Mythic Legions. You know, those guys were just making their fan stuff, you know, and then they got hired contractually with these companies to, you know, that's the nice thing about the indie lines. They can do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where Hasbro, they want you
And
to
that's
sign
something
some,
that-
you know, contract and all this
Yeah.
other nonsense. I worked at
That's
Fisher
something
Price,
that we're,
and when I worked at Fisher Price, I was only working in the warehouse processing recalls and then doing some tech support for a Christmas season on their call center, and I had to sign an NDA. And any toy thing that I came up with during that time was technically their property, whether it was anything to do with
Wow.
whatever Mattel made or not. But that's how it is working for those big companies.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I think
So
what
have
we're seeing too with the Renaissance, the guys that are making stuff now, it's not knowing how to do everything yourself, but knowing how to find the talent and work with them. You know, whether it be sculpting or painting or working with the factory. The ones that are successful, the ones that are putting out some good stuff, they're learning how to work with other people who already are in the industry and or are available to work, freelance. So some of them are doing really well with that. Some of them are struggling.
Yeah, it's all about that networking.
Yeah.
You know,
Sideshow Toys did do some G.I. Joe figures back in the day. With
they
their
did Real
basically
American
Hero.
Heroes. Yep. So have any of
Fig
you,
Zero has been doing some good stuff in 1/6 scale too.
Yeah.
are any of you guys going to get the Savage Crucible figure line, or is that
I'll probably pick up one or two of them.
yeah? What's the price point on those? Do you remember?
I think they're like the same as the Mythic, so somewhere around the $40 mark.
That's pretty good for what those figures are.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I've
yeah.
followed those. Those are pretty nice.
Yeah.
Those are really nice.
I saw them at PowerCon. I was blown away. I couldn't even like walk around their table because it was just like the paint work and the details on those figures was just like, oh my God, it was just mind blowing.
Did any of you guys get the Franzetta Girls figure?
I haven't yet, but I wanted to, but I hope I can still get it.
Yeah.
I know
They look
Travis
great.
and Thanos both have it ordered, and it's supposed to be on their way to them. The Frazetta Girls Dark Wolf figure.
I almost bought
Yeah.
it, then I saw it next to the Mezco Conan, and the
Mm.
scale was a little off for me. And I'm like, man, it
Well,
would just,
the Dark Wolf is actually in scale with all the other 1/12 scale lines. The
Uh-huh.
Mezco Conan is actually small.
is he too small?
Short.
Okay,
Yeah, he's
so I didn't
small.
know that. Yeah. I'll see if they do other figures in that
Yeah.
line. I might grab one or two.
Mezco
but-
figures are actually more like a 1/12 scale. Like this is Mezco's Gomez, right?
Yep.
And this is Hasbro's 1/12 scale. So he might be the same height because Gomez is a little taller. But I mean, just even the bulk, right, of Captain America compared to him. I mean,
Yeah.
it's noticeably different. And the Mezco Conan, for whatever reason, he's awesome looking, but he's definitely sculpted shorter than even a lot of their figures. He's sculpted shorter than.
I'll tell you what I
think
want to buy.
they took some kind of art that they looked at and based him off of some stocky, short character, right?
I'll tell you what I want to buy this year if I can get one. You guys familiar with is it Bellama Toys? He's out of Brazil. So I follow him on Instagram. I've known him. I know him. We chat a lot. He makes reproduction Falcon muscle body figures.
Oh yeah, I follow.
But he
that.
made the Dr. Isotope in the muscle body.
Oh,
And I want
nice.
one of those figures incredibly bad. I've messaged him, and he's going to do another run this year. And I told him, when you do a run, let me know. I'll buy one for sure from you. And I just think they're super cool looking. But
Now, is he actually built? Is he molding them in the glow in the dark plastic? Like,
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. I don't know how he does it all, but that's why I'm interested in all these guys who do these, like Bobby and all these guys who do the design and sculpting, because there's so many guys out there who want to do that. Like I know Felipe Monaco wants to start an action figure line, but he just can't find the right person to partner with. And I've Zika Toys, they're going to partner now with Giant Leap and maybe do some kind of Shogun thing now. They announced the other day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can make that Super Shogun figure, but I don't know. And then, White
tough.
Elephant.
It's
White
a tough
Elephant-
world though, because
Yep.
like I talked to the one guy at Fresh Monkey Fiction, and I was talking to him the other day about why they can't sell through anybody else, because they sell exclusively through their site and
Mhm.
through Big Bad Toy Store, and that's it, right?
Okay.
And even they've been out for a while. They've been around for a long time now,
Yep.
right? I mean, several years. And he told me straight out, he's like, we are not in a financial position to sell through anybody else but Big Bad because they help us fund the campaigns and stuff, right? And do
Yeah,
all
Big
the,
Bad's good for that.
yeah, do all the pre-orders stuff. So I mean, a company that's been out for several years still can't get traction enough to just go off and do their own. I mean,
It's
you know,
tough.
yeah.
It's tough out there. I really like what White Elephant Toys is doing. I really like but their Super Joe line, and then the Strike Force Alpha, I think them as well, right? Do they do? Yeah, yeah. I really hope that Greg at Cotswold can work with them to do an updated muscle body of some kind of like they did with the Super Joe body. To get
That'd
a
be
muscle
great.
body, get it in a new plastic with a little better articulation, and I swear it would sell like hotcakes if they could come up with that.
It's
Those
are they
guys
still
also
getting the
have
French muscle bodies from the French company or German company.
Yeah,
the Hyperman.
I'll be
Hyperman,
honest with you. The articulation on those is just shit. It
Yeah.
is. They're. You might as well just the muscle looks good, but you might as well just buy the Cotswold Classic body because you can do more stuff with them.
Yeah,
Those
I like the way that you guys have been doing your muscle bodies with the
Retrofit.
Frank and
the
Joe's
damn toy
with the-
arms.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
that,
sure.
that works great.
I just want to see a muscle
Or the,
body with better elbow articulation and better knee articulation. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think the
Shouldn't-
tooling would be that hard to do that
No, it can't be.
You
right?
wouldn't think so.
and get it.
What we saw
produced.
with what was it with Action Man? They were using the click and play style body, which it's not bad, but it could use some improvement, especially in the hands. But
bigger
Yeah,
feet, hands.
The World Peacekeepers, when they came out with their double jointed bodies, right? I mean,
Yeah.
$20, you're getting a decent articulated
Yeah.
body. Now the problem with that is the joints have so much clearance in them because they're made for kids that they get loose really fast. But if you could take that concept and put it into a muscle body Joe, it can't be that much money. I mean, it's a little extra mold money, but I mean, it can't be that much.
I gotta think that I don't know how much money and time those guys put in to redesign that Super Joe body, but it's a good body. I've got one. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I gotta think that you get a dude who can do some pretty crafty design work. You could probably come up with a better elbow joint and a better knee joint. That's all you really need.
Yeah, that's
And
all you need.
You could essentially make that, and you could probably, a Cotswold body right now I think is $17 to $20 probably,
Right.
and then a Guyper Man body is around 40.
40.
If you could figure out a way to make that body around $45, you'd sell the shit out of them.
Yeah, the problem is they're still using the old molds where the arms on and the legs on the muscle bodies are that hollow plastic, right? And so it's not that the vintage bodies weren't hollow, but there is more to it than just being blow molded plastic shells.
Yeah, I just wish that they'd come up. That'd be great for the 60th anniversary for Cotswold to come out with a brand new super articulated muscle body. And I did message Greg about that one day, and he said something like, "You never know what's in the works" or something like that. I'm like, all right.
Something cryptic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm gonna be
Just
doing
give me a yes or no, damn it, Greg.
Yeah.
Fucking
My only
espionage here.
caveat with the white elephant, what are they calling him now? Commander. They had to change the name because Hasbro got a little butthurt. But those bodies are really good.
Well,
I
Hasbro
wish
didn't
we
like the
hadn't
fact that
done.
someone was making money off of something they thought wasn't
I know
going to make
that they're
any
not doing
money.
anything with. Yeah.
Scumbags.
But the 1/9 scale is kind of an off put in the fact that Mego has come back. And it's like if they'd made them the same scale as the Migos, man, that would be so cool.
When I picked up my Super Joe at PowerCon, that Super Joe Commander with the gray beard, I picked him up at PowerCon. It wasn't White Elephant Toys, but it was the guy that runs the Kentucky Anya G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
He had a booth there, and he had all the White Elephant toys there.
Yep.
And like he had like a Muhammad Ali figure and a couple a vintage looking, I can't remember who it was, like a baseball character, right? From, back in the early days of baseball, that type of uniform. And then he had all the different, Super Joes on the table. I mean, like it was stacked. I was like, these are so awesome. I was like, I talked to him for probably half an hour about Super Joe and all the Super Joe fun that we used to have, because I had Gore with the green light in his chest, and my brother and my cousin got the Super Joe with the lights in their, armor. It was like so cool.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that right now because they haven't put out really anything new in a while, and I think they're just kind of on a holding pattern from the stuff with Hasbro and kind of trying to rebrand it up and everything. But
They
There's
did
a lot of
mention
people who
they
bought
also have the license for Action Jackson. They have that. I'm
Oh, do
curious
they?
if they're going to do that in the 1/9 scale to go with their Super Joe, whatever they're calling it
It'd
now.
be smart. You'd have the bodies. I
Yeah.
mean, you already got
Yeah.
the bodies, and you already got the outfits patterns and stuff. You know,
I wonder if he could get away with doing Action Jackson and just making a Super Joe figure in Action Jackson, kind of like Eagle Force does with all their, right?
Yeah.
Make
Mhm.
the branded Action Jackson, which is still that nostalgia grab.
They
but
have
bring in
them up
some
on the
Super Joe.
website now. The
Do they?
Do they?
Yeah, the
You
Adventure
want to share it up,
Commandos.
Will?
Yeah. They're back. They got them. Let me do this. And Adventure Commando.
Adventure Commando is the new name.
Yep, Adventure
Oh, okay.
Commando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
that's
Adventure
what they're calling
Command,
it.
I
That's-
guess.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
I added the O.
I would give.
But
I
they
would
have
give a
the
little.
one
I
night
wish.
Mike.
I wish
Clone.
they'd do that Mike Power head in 1/6 scale. They'd
Yes,
sell the shit.
that would be
Sell the
nice.
shit out of that too. I mean, they would.
Yeah, they have the heads too for $5. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a really good
Oh,
deal.
it's a super bargain with those figures if you're
Yeah.
into that stuff.
I bought the figure at PowerCon for $16.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Sweet.
gonna say these are $34.99 for the complete. Oh yeah, they're
There's wicked cool.
deluxe.
Like, so that Mike
figures.
Power head's awesome.
Yeah, look at that. That's great. Yeah, I wish they would have
Yeah.
done it.
And he still might. They put out there the other day what you'd like to see this coming year, and I said more 1/6 scale heads. You know,
Mhm.
because I could take that Mike Power head, buy a reproduction Henshin Cyborg,
Oh yeah.
pop that freaking
That'd be
head off
awesome
that
on
thing,
Henshin
and throw
Cyborg
Mike
body.
Power on that. Dude, that's a wormhole.
Oh, they
I
got some
started.
flocked heads. It looks like, huh?
Yep.
Those
Yeah,
flocked.
1/6 scale. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Super
like the
cheap.
white elephant stuff a lot.
$674 for the head. Wow.
You
Yep.
can't. You know, those are White Elephant Toys is one of those companies that's small that you'd like to support because they're trying to do something.
Yeah.
You know, they're not. They're trying to give you something
it's their
that you're not going to
store.
find everywhere.
Nope.
Yeah.
I love them.
They've got a lot of 1/6 scale stuff too. Look at
Mhm.
this.
Yep.
That's some great stuff.
I got to put an order into him here one of these days and get some more stuff. I just put an order in with Matt Squatch Customs here today, so
Mm.
I like that guy's stuff too.
yeah, it's just kind of
Yeah.
weird. They mix the 1/9 with the 1/6 stuff in here. But
Yeah.
I guess they're all the
Well, I
same
think
thing.
it's because everybody liked the Super Joe, and then there was that
Yeah.
a big push to get Super Joe because of Luco Pork, however you say
Yep.
his name, pushed it out to the 1/6 scale version, and then everybody's like, "Oh yeah, let's do Super Joe on 1/6 scale, right?"
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then these guys came out with this, and it's super cool, man. I mean, if
And
that's your thing,
with Migo coming back out too, you know, it's perfect, right? Because
Mhm.
yeah, it is. It's cool, and like I said, there's just so many boutique toy companies out there right now that's just
oh yeah,
it's like what's whatever you want, right?
I think it's actually overwhelming, and it's actually causing a problem in the
It's
in
too
the
much.
toy industry because there's so much that you know I love Savage Crucible, but I'm already pretty deep into Mythic Legion, so I'm not going to just abandon ship and go completely into Savage Crucible. But I'm also like, you know, I love Valaverse and I love Joe, but I'm all in on the Monster Force, right? So that's where my money's going this year. So it's like, you know, I can only pick so many lines to go after.
You want it all, but yeah, you just can't do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not feasible.
I guess like the
I'm
cool
definitely
figures.
I'm having to
Robert from,
cherry pick a lot of lines.
Yeah, Robert's Infinite Realms. I forget what number he gave me, but it was like for just Marvel Legends, which he collects. You know, he was saying Hasbro released like so many. It was like $4,000 worth of figures if you just like average the average figure they do in 1 year. 2023, they released like 4,000 like $4,000 worth of figures.
And
So
that's if you buy one. And most of the guys that collect Joe don't just buy one at the Army Builders, right? They buy multiples.
They were just saying it was too much too fast, you know, and that was one of the.
Well, they're trying to make up for their bullshit at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, where they couldn't get anything out. So then they just flooded the market.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys kind of feel like there's a bubble forming?
Yeah, it's going to blow soon. It's going to definitely blow. I don't think it'll be too long before you see Mattel and Hasbro actually combine.
Oh yeah, I think that's inevitable.
Yep.
Yeah, I was really bummed out when Mattel decided to discontinue Origins and went with the Filmation. I like the Origins line. I've bought almost all the
Right.
figures for my son. I love the Origins line. The Filmation stuff, not so much. I don't like the cartoony stuff. Just never have. That's with my Masters of the Universe love. I remember the very beginning of Masters of the Universe, right? It was 1982. When you get the comic and you're looking at it like, holy shit, this is wicked, right? At the same time, you know, my dad was taking me to see Conan the Barbarian, and Sandahl Bergman's hot little ass was in that. And first time I ever saw boobs in a movie with that witch, a giant snake. And I love sword and sorcery. And I loved He-Man in that, you know, vein of being almost dark and awesome. And I just remember how, and I am way in the minority on this. I remember how disappointed I was when the cartoon came out. I'm like, what is this shit?
The cartoon,
You know?
Conan cartoon?
No,
Compared to the
Masters-
comics.
Oh, the He-Man
Masters of the
cartoon.
Universe.
Yeah.
It was so different. And you watch the documentary, the guy that designed it,
Yeah.
he did not intend it to become this fucking child show.
Well, it had to be made that way. It was the only way it was going to get on TV.
I
That was
know.
the problem.
I know. I mean,
Unfortunately,
I
but they did that with G.I. Joe too, right? If you read
Right.
G.I. Joe comics, there's a lot of guys in that community that are like swear by the continuity of the comic and they don't even watch the cartoon because it was, you know, it was designed and developed for a younger generation so they could get it on the TV and have it approved.
Yeah. That first run of He-Man, that first initial run of He-Man figures was always my favorite. Castle Grayskull. I remember getting Castle Grayskull for my
Castle
birthday.
Grayskull was so cool.
Oh my God. And I just remember how I would play He-Man by myself and there'd be dudes getting chopped up with axes.
Oh yeah.
Killed, everything.
That axe was always my favorite. The sword,
I
not
s-
so much. But that
And then I
battle
saw
axe,
the cartoon and I'm just like, I think I quit collecting He-Man when I saw the cartoon. I'm like, you know what? What? No, it was like a testosterone killer, man.
Yep.
You know, it was
Well,
like,
think about all the awesome like barbarian style movies that were out
I
there.
know.
The Sword and
you
the
got-
Sorceress, you know, Beastmaster and
Beastmaster.
Conan,
Oh,
Red
that-
Sonja.
That Filmation He-Man from now on is going to be living rent free in my mind as Cuckman. Cuckman.
Yeah, the one I preferred was
Master of the
Black Star.
Betaverse.
Black
Yeah, with
Star.
Black Star, he had
Oh.
kind of a the figures were good. The cartoon was
man.
pretty cool. Had some sci-fi and fantasy elements.
Why
The
hasn't
little
it
Hobbit
done that?
guys I could have done without, but you know, it's like that was when I
Well,
wish
they had
had
to do
done
the
better.
drop it so it you know
I know.
got to the kids, but
I wish
this guy right
Yeah.
here loves Black Star. He's got a custom Black Star that's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Thanos Copter does.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would do a Black Star. Like
Thanos and I have been saying that every Saturday night. We're like, "Where's our Black Star figures?"
Why hasn't Super 7 done that yet? Because that's right in there. That's
And,
right in there.
I don't know who has the license for that though.
I don't either.
Yeah, the other one would be Thundar the Barbarian. There
Oh,
was a
Thundar,
company,
yeah.
was it Toynami that put them out for a minute?
Yeah, they did a 5-inch version
Clay
a couple
Manus.
years ago.
I have the Thundar and the Ukla.
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 Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
I'd
Thundar
love to
too.
see some of
You know,
those
the
with
funny thing is, that
updated
so many of us remember
articulation.
that cartoon, and it was only on for one season.
Yeah,
The Barbarian
I know.
only lasted one season.
that's all you need.
But it was good. Yeah.
I'm a huge Space Ghost and Blue Falcon fan. Also,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love
Yeah.
those characters.
Yeah, yeah. It's just wild. It's
That's it.
wild. It's the best time right now to be a collector.
Oh, that's why Hasbro has the Black Star.
I was going to say that's the frustrating
Uh,
thing is certain companies, Hasbro being one of them, they
Uh,
gobbled up a bunch of IPs back in the day, and they're sitting on them. They don't want to do it, but they want to make sure nobody else does it
Yeah,
either.
they bought Kenner and all those things and just sat on everything.
I did
Yeah.
order the Legends Crystar figure because I had Crystar when I was a kid. Did anybody have Crystar?
Yeah.
I had Crystar, but I didn't order the new one.
I loved Crystar, man. That was
Yeah.
one of my favorite toys when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't know anything
That fit right
about
in
it,
with all
though,
the barbarian
so
shit, right? It
Oh,
was
I just
high-five.
used them with my other figures.
Yeah. I got the Hasbro Legends one just because I think it's a cool
I'm-
figure.
I'm relatively hopeful but cynical that we'll see something. Goji has found out and let me know that Micronauts and ROM comic books, they finally worked out a licensing deal where they're going to re-release those graphic novel collections of some of those great Marvel comics. Whether or not that will translate to new figures, I don't know. I'd love to get a ROM An
Yeah.
updated articulated ROM for the 1/6 scale or even 1/12 scale.
How about a ROM Titan figure like Willhelm
Ooh.
Sentinels, right? They're just a
Yeah.
simple articulated ROM
Yeah.
figure.
That'd be
Dude.
awesome.
Yeah,
Such
I
a
know,
great character.
Robert from Max Sog has a ROM in his adventure team. It's a
Definitely.
Well, yeah, it's one of those, again, it's one of those tie-in things where in the British Palatoy,
Yep.
ROM was part of the adventure team, the super adventure team,
Yep.
towards the tail end. The figure was not very well articulated, but it was a
Yeah.
cool concept. I'd love to have seen somebody bring that back and run with it, give him modern articulation, and match him to the Marvel comic book storyline that he had, which was really good.
Man, if somebody could, if Hasbro would just let somebody have access to all that Mike Power, ROM, Micronauts, you could create a really cool universe.
You know, you could do it even if you did it like
almost
1/12
tried
scale,
to
right?
for a
It'd be
minute.
awesome.
They did.
Yeah. What was it? IDW was doing, was
Yeah.
it Revolutions or
Yeah.
I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, it just
But-
didn't
Well,
work.
One
Hasbro
year-
bought that
Yeah.
production studio, and they had that big plan to make their Hasbro verse. You know,
Yep.
with
Yeah.
Mask and Joe and Transformers and ROM and all these things crossed over with each other, but piss poor management, man. Just piss poor management.
I just
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think they got too many hands in the cookie jar. You know?
You can't do stuff like that and create it by a committee. You've got to have a team that works together.
Well, they're risk averse too, so they're not going to take a
Ugh.
chance. That's why they did Crystar as a Marvel Legends as opposed to relaunching the Crystar line, right?
Right. Just want to see how he'd sell.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I've always we've had this conversation a million times on a lot of these streams about what would we do to fix Hasbro, and it's everybody has similar ideas, and we all think that it needs fixed, which I think we all agree it does. But it almost feels like what needs to really happen is the Hazenfield brothers, if there are any of them left, needs to get the company back and then take it off of, like Elon Musk did with Twitter. You take it back, you take it non-public, and you make it just a company again, and then start making stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, the problem is that Hasbro is not run by people that love toys anymore. It's run by people that love money. That's the problem, right?
You got to get a new owner that has a passion for toys, because, like I said, like, like I was telling a few weeks ago, I was talking like with GI Joe. Like, we all agree. I don't know if we all agree, but I think that this iteration of GI Joe is stale. I just don't think it doesn't.
Oh, it's just a rehash.
It's just nostalgic, and that's it.
Yeah.
If I was Hasbro, I would hire, like, say, Jack Carr, Terminalist guy.
Yep.
Jack Carr. He's the new Larry Hama. Jack, write a brand new GI Joe script for us. Come up with a brand new GI Joe universe. You do whatever, and we're going to make toys to support that line.
Yep. That's what I said. They need to come out with a new concept for Joe, right?
Yep.
And then if people wanted the classic collections, they could have done a classified series on the retro cards.
Sure.
You know, done a couple every quarter as a, throwback to nostalgia.
Sure.
And just keep making a new thing for new people. That's what I was saying about the kids, right? The kids don't want to. I mean, Luke loves the stuff from my, that I love because he's my son, right?
Yep.
But even as a kid, he didn't give a shit about playing with the stuff because it was mine. Like, we'd watch Star Wars and he was all about the Phantom Menace stuff because that's what was cool and that's what was out, right? He didn't care about Darth Vader as Darth Vader and that Anakin turned into Darth Vader. He was all about, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was, as a young guy, right? It's like, and that's what kids want. They don't want their dad's rehash shit. I
just don't know why they can't come out with a brand new concept. You could take G.I. Joe, create like a Legends of G.I. Joe line, and then you just encompass the whole universe in that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you have your own, and just have that. Like, hey, here's a 1/12 Super Joe in the Legends of G.I. Joe line.
The thing that Hasbro misses too is that, like, the original G.I. Joe Adventure Team and the Super Joe, they didn't have characters, right? And that's why they sold so many friggin' figures, because it didn't matter how many land adventures you had. When I was a kid, I didn't go, oh, damn, another land adventure. I was like, sweet, another fucking G.I. Joe, right? Yep. When you got to the Real American Hero, and it's like, oh, shit, another fucking shipwreck, It was like, I don't need two shipwrecks. because
Yeah.
those characters are all individualized, and that's what they do now.
Yeah.
If they came
Yeah.
out with a couple of named characters with a whole bunch of fucking army builders that were just generic characters you could put anywhere, right? Like Fresh Monkey Fiction's doing with a couple of their characters, right? Putting 3 heads with one body. You could
Yeah.
have so many different
Yeah.
characters with that one figure. It's not even funny.
How about like a new Mike Power with a good backstory? A guy
Oh
who
yeah,
served in,
fuck.
a guy who served in like Afghanistan
Yep.
or Iraq and got his arms blown off by IED, and this is what they did for him, and now he's doing
Right.
whatever. Like, how about an edgy, good story?
They could do like a Mike Powers, like you said, right? Come out of Afghanistan, and now he's like a CIA operative,
Sure.
you know, deep cover spy or
Yeah.
something like that. That'd be awesome, right?
For sure. It's just that we're the ones coming up with all this shit.
It's risk averse, man. They don't want
Right.
to take a chance.
Yep, and they
Yeah.
don't have the guts to throw something out there.
Well, that's
for
what
whatever
happened.
reason.
They came out with Classified, and it was a relaunch of the old Joe with a modern flair. And everybody was like, this is cool, but I want my original Duke. I want my original Roadblock. These things are stupid, right? And that
Right.
was all adult collectors.
Yeah.
But they stayed
Yeah.
true,
Yeah.
put out some figures in that same vein at $15 with some kind of fucking media attached to it. It probably could have sold to some fucking kids, right?
Well, they really missed a lot of opportunities. One simple fix would have been do a Hall of Fame line, do your
Right.
1/12 scale, and then do all your classic characters, be it
Yeah.
Super Joe,
That's what I
Mike
say, they
Power,
could do a
or
retro line like they
those
did with
Real
Star Wars.
American Heroes.
Yeah, what was,
Yeah, do that as a separate line.
Yep.
What was it? I remember back in the day, like the comics used to do that. Like you had X-Men, like the current, and then you had classic X-Men. They would reprint
Yeah.
Yeah.
old stories so people that didn't like the new team, like they could go back.
Comic
and
books
read
have been
the
doing
old
that for years.
team. Yeah, they were. You had them
Yeah.
running side by side, but I always preferred like classic X-Men. Sometimes I bounce, but but they did that with like other things too. But they could do like Tales of GI Joe or
Sure.
classic. Yeah.
Fat
I
Red
mean-
Crew, I'm 50 years old. I'm going to be 51 in less than a month. And I've been a toy collector my whole life. It's a passion of mine. And it just pisses me off because Kenner and Hasbro were like the toy companies. And now they're just shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back then they were
Mattel is not
innovative,
innocent
so-
either.
Well,
I got
Mattel's
a lot
not
of
either, but I was
heartburn
never
with-
really big
yeah.
into many Mattel lines,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
but in the 80s,
Well-
70s, 80s, and on, these guys were in a lab. They had these guys in a lab and they were trying to figure out what can we get people into.
Mhm.
They haven't done that in 20 plus years. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
just been, let's just keep turning out the other things. These guys they experimented. They tried stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They had
Kirk
to
Bazidian,
brainstorm.
he
They
would
had to
just come
sit
out with shit
around,
all the
yeah.
time, man.
And
Harold the Priest.
they were doing it to make money also, but they
Yeah.
were doing it, a little more creatively. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, the guy that
Well, yeah.
created, G.I. Joe, Don Levine, and the other guy, right? The guy was walking past the fucking sewing shop and saw a wooden fucking mannequin. And was
Wooden-
like,
yeah.
hey, let's make this into a guy's thing. We can sell it just like Barbie. We'll make a new fucking thing so it's not a doll, so people aren't averse to buying their son a doll. We'll call it an action figure, and let's fucking go. And look where we are. 60 years later, G.I. Joe is still alive. I mean,
It is.
As- Hasbro, wake the fuck up.
when Hassenfeld was there, he was a little leery because like this is a new venture.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be expensive. But when he got the toy in his hands, he was like a little kid again. This is the owner of the company. This is the guy who makes the big decisions. He played with his own freaking toys. It's like, yeah, how many executives at these companies actually care about the product they make? I don't think any of
No.
them do.
it's all about the
Not
money.
really.
That's what I'm saying. Hasbro needs
Yeah.
to be led by people that have a passion for toys, whether it's even if you have a passion for little kids toys from 3 to 5 or 3 to 7, whatever it is. At least you have a passion
Yeah.
for some toys, right? Some
I-
creativity.
I'm going to channel. Yeah, I'm going to channel a little bit of the punk here for a minute because I'm going to
All right,
rant.
go for it. You
When
got the
Mattel
stage.
gave us that Comic-Con special, and I heard they're going to do Big Jim, Major Matt Mason,
Oh,
Pulsar, I'm like, hell yeah! And then they brought out these.
Secret Wars.
They phoned it in. They phoned it in. The figures were terrible. They were what, 5 POA maybe?
That was a money
They weren't
grab.
well paid. It was a money grab. It was a limited thing, and it was just like, yeah, we want some of that nostalgia memberberry stuff. We want some of that money, but we're not actually going to do anything with these lines. We're just going to throw it out there for a minute. Ha ha. Yeah, I was not a happy camper.
Well said, punk.
Yeah.
Well,
It
Chad
is.
had Kirk Bazigian on, and he
Yeah,
said
that was a great
they
show.
are. What did he say? They're creatively bankrupt.
Yep,
That's what he said.
exactly.
I agree, 100%.
And he worked-
Possibly morally bankrupt too, but that's allegedly.
Hey, Thanos.
There's
Real
just,
quick.
like I said, there's just too
Susan
many.
Eldor.
There's too much going on, and I'm sure these production meetings or whatever these guys, you've got, regardless of what you think about woke culture at all or DEI or whatever bullshit. All I know is when you get too many people trying to put too many ideas into something, it's always going to fail. Just make something fucking cool, make it awesome. Kids will fucking love it. Just fucking do it. But they can't do it because they got to fucking put everything in it. Just like when
look at
Netflix
the
does a
fact that
cartoon.
Hasbro has Magic the Gathering or whatever what is it? West Coast like D&D and all that stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they could easily do an awesome Dungeons and Dragons toy line.
Sure.
Not based on
Yeah.
a movie, not based on the
Yeah.
stupid fucking old cartoon that,
Yeah.
we all love, but we don't need those figures, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great nostalgia grab, but release them with
I would-
something new.
Yes, I would love it.
It's
if they
all
just did.
nostalgia based now. The entire toy line is all nostalgia.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder how many other high caliber creative types like a Bobby Valla are working at Mattel and Hasbro and come up with this stuff and say, "Hey, I got this idea, and here's what we can do, and here's the
They're like-
accessories." And then some
Oh,
bean
they shoot it
counter
down,
says,
right?
"No." Yeah, they shoot it down. So it's not
No different than the
I don't-
medical world. You got
Yeah.
you got some doctor that says you need this pill, you need this process or procedure or whatever. They send it to the insurance company, and a guy that's a business guy like me goes, "Nah, that's too much money. You don't need that procedure." But the doctor said I did, and he's the guy that's fucking knows. He's the guy that went to medical school for 8 fucking years. How come you, as a businessman, telling the doctor
Right.
that he's wrong,
Yep.
right? That's what happens at the toy company. Some dude with a fucking tie tells a guy like Lenny, who's a designer, "Sorry, dude, it's a great idea, but maybe some other time when we, can it risk a little more."
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like I look at the toy industry like this. I have a 5-year-old, so he watches cartoons, and we don't have Netflix right now because it's just too expensive for what you get. But when we used to sit and try to find cartoons for him to watch on Netflix, there wasn't many he could watch because it's just they're terrible. They're fucking
There are horrible cartoons
right?
out there nowadays. Horrible cartoons.
Only one but he could watch was probably the Octonauts, which I think is a really cool cartoon.
Yeah,
It's
Octonauts is cool. My kids
Yeah.
watch that.
But we tried to watch. I know there's a lot of people out there who like that Masters of the Universe Revelations cartoon. I tried to. We couldn't watch it. He just didn't. He wasn't interested in it. And it's just like they take and put too much into these cartoons. They try to make them fucking Oscar nominated. But
Yeah.
we're talking about
Well,
fucking toys here.
The problem with the kids' cartoons
Yeah.
also is that they're trying to go so much into the educational realm that
Yeah.
they lose the point of actually entertaining the kid so
Yeah.
he learns. When my kids were little, they watch Cat in the Hat knows a lot about that. And he go
Yeah.
on these great adventures, right? And
Yeah.
learn about fucking ants. My kids used to tell me facts. I was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
where'd you learn that? They're like Cat in the Hat. I'm like, holy shit, right?
Same thing.
It was a great cartoon. Just
Yeah,
like
my son
Octonauts,
watches
right? They're
that.
talking about the sea creatures and shit like that and all these different animals. It's like it's entertaining and you can have it educational at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be shove it down your throat.
Yep.
And why couldn't you do something like that with the adventure team? You could do, a two
man,
level.
yeah.
You could do have the adventure team go on levels, stuff for the 5 to 6 year olds and have them actually
Yep.
teach them about animals and ecology
Absolutely,
and all that.
All sorts like
Yeah.
Wildcrats.
Yep,
PBS has
Wildcrats. That was a cool
Wildcrats.
cartoon
Really
show.
cool cartoon. Yeah.
Yep.
And you could also use the adventure team to teach your kid about hidden history or all the stuff that we've been lied to about.
Yeah.
But you could do
All the
about
ancient
anything, right?
aliens.
I mean, when
What's that?
we were kids, we learned about like tying knots and shit, just from watching, adventure stories and pirate movies, right? But you could do something
Yeah.
like that even with the adventure team. You could teach them just basic shit, right? Like this is how you grow a fucking garden.
Dude, you know what would be cool? I've always thought to take the Inhumanoids and make those guys part of the adventure team. Remember the Inhumanoids?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love the Inhumanoids.
That was dope. Or the Centurions. The Kenner thing. You could bring it in. You could make an amalgam of all those guys for the adventure.
Well, I think that's what Hasbro's vision was, right? That all these guys could make one cool freaking universe together, but they can never get
Good.
their creative fucking asses out of their their heads out of their assholes to get it started.
Yeah, And you know, you think they could hire somebody from Marvel Comics, but they're sinking ship too. I mean, I just
Yeah.
Well, everybody's so afraid to get canceled or blacklisted
Yeah.
because they offend one tiny group of people nowadays. Fuck that, man. Just go
you
out
don't
and
want
do
to
it.
have masculine characters,
Right.
You know,
But it's
Well,
all
there
because
is there
one
there
little
is
tiny
hope
group.
coming from some of these other companies.
For
Will's
sure.
turned me on to what's going on with Chap May with
Yep.
Acid versus Beta
Oh, yeah,
and
that's an
some of their
awesome
other
one.
stuff, where they're putting it at a price point kids can afford,
Mhm.
but with a decent storyline, a cool concept, and some new stuff that is very much just their own. It's not just knockoffs that you can play with other toy brands. It's like, no, they're actually making their own universe now. It's like, cool.
Where do
Maybe
you
we'll
find
see
it, Chap?
more of that.
I
Where do
saw
you
that
find
mech.
Chat May?
You got your mech right there, Will?
Yeah. I've got. Where's my red one? Oh, he's right here.
Who sells Chat May?
That's at the Dollar Tree.
Oh, okay, that's
Dollar Tree, Family Dollar,
Yep.
Yeah.
Toys R Us in Canada, maybe one or two other places.
I'm going to bring you up full screen. Will, hold on a second. That mech right there, $15 for the figure. That thing is so
Yeah.
awesome.
It's awesome.
Smokes. That's cool. My son would love that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you can't beat it.
They have them in camo, and now they're coming out with the red for the acid versus.
Yeah, he's got a little soft.
Where'd you
white
find that
gloves.
one at, Will?
So Chad actually found this one for me at the.
He found out
armor-
the PX
yeah.
on base.
at
The military,
PX,
PX
exchange.
exchange.
Okay.
They're
But
not
it will
out
be.
yet.
They
They're
are
due
coming in
out-
stores.
Okay.
Yeah, they're due out like first quarter 2024.
I'll be looking for those.
Yeah, so Dollar General.
They have the military
Dollar
green
Tree
one.
doesn't sell
at
them. Dollar General or
Dollar
Family
General,
Dollar.
yeah.
Family Dollar.
Okay.
Family
Okay.
Dollar. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw the green one right before you did your contest, and you hadn't announced it yet. And then you announced the contest. I went back to the Family Dollar, and they were all gone. And there was like 10 of them there.
They
15
went,
bucks. I was
yeah,
like,
there
damn.
were so many. I thought that they would just be kind of like this evergreen, kind of line that they had. And that's
Yep.
kind of the idea. So many people were popping up on Instagram with theirs. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, we all kind of,
Yeah.
fell into these at the same time. So it was just, it's awesome. And if
Final
you check out
Faction was
their
another one
website-
that was
Oh,
Final
yeah.
Faction
the
is cool.
Final Faction stuff is great price point, cool idea, and they sold like crazy. Hopefully they'll continue that.
They have some new sets at my Dollar Tree.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I found them this week. Some new gear sets in an alien
Oh yeah.
pack.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I like
Those are only
I
a
like-
buck and a quarter.
Yeah, I like the Final
Yeah.
Faction stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
those are
vehicle.
cool.
And I don't know why I can't find it, but that ATV that they made.
Yeah, that little doom buggy thing you got was cool.
Yeah, the
I got one
Arrow
back there.
ATV for $1. You
Yeah,
could buy an
Crazy.
armor kit and make it a deluxe ATV for $2.20,
$2.
$2.50.
Yeah.
But just brilliant, man.
goes
And
great with GI Joe: Real American Hero too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
you
go
can
with
make
Delta 17 now too.
a troop builder. It's a troop builder vehicle, right? You could make a ton of those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have one that I'm
You
getting. I'm gonna.
take that ATV at the dollar store, right? And a couple of those printed out things from World Made of Cardboard.
You gotta-
You can
yeah.
make a whole friggin' faction for like $10 and not even have to think twice about it.
I have when I get that figure from Eagle Force, one looks like the guy from Megaforce.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Maverick,
gonna
they're
do a
calling him.
video where I take that ATV from Final Faction and I paint it up to look like the Megaforce Doom Buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Nice.
do a custom of that for
Like
my.
Eagle Force, those guys are doing it right. They took an old line, right? Eagle Force, and they're releasing some of the original characters. So there's only 13 original Eagle Force characters, right? So they're releasing the original characters in their gold uniforms, new molds, new everything, right? But they're also adding in all sorts of new characters, new versions of the
Yep.
old characters. And that's how you do it right. Hasbro could have done that easily with GI Joe, and they totally missed the boat.
Love Eagle Force.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
cool in 1/12 to have that alongside your Action Force and alongside your classified stuff. That'll be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually building a 1/12 scale or 1/18 scale for the new Eagle Force Mountain diorama.
Nice.
Oh,
Remember the old
what are you
Eagle
making
Force
that
Mountain?
out of?
Yeah.
What are you
Out of the
making that
foam,
out of?
like all out of the foam.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's dope,
Love to
dude.
see that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be cool. Wow, I can't wait to see that. How big is it gonna be scaled? Kind of
Yeah,
like
scale to the 4-inch figures.
oh man.
Because the
Now,
original
you're-
Eagle Force was 2 3/4 inch, the little
Yep.
metal dudes.
Yep.
They
I was
had to
gonna say, as
upscale
far as your I know you're going to be heading to Parts Unknown you've got a move coming up. You've got some logistics to deal with. What's it going to take to go from, packing everything up and then unpacking and then getting everything back to production for your YouTube and your model
Nothing's
building
really
and all
gonna
that
stop
stuff?
right now. Right now, the moves. Today I decided to postpone it because Luke was supposed to be all set to go this
Mhm.
week, but his thing got delayed for 2 weeks. So right now I'm not doing anything until my son's squared away, and then I will
Okay.
take and make that next step, whatever that ends up being. But
Cool.
so right now I'm kind of living in limbo, but back when I was young, that's how it was, right? Fucking duffel bag and a backpack, put on some shoes,
it.
and I'm out the door, right? And
Travel light.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stuff accumulates. I came here with, a rucksack and one other bag, and now I've got a house full of stuff. And it's like, I kind of miss the days when I could just throw everything in 1 or 2 packs and just go,
Well, hey guys, it's about 10 for me. I think I'm gonna roll
Yeah.
up out of here. I had a good time. Thanks for having me
Yeah.
on.
It's all good, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with everybody. I definitely want to have all you guys come on to live stream one-on-one.
Yeah.
Sure.
And have a good time. I'm trying to figure out people right now for the next few months, and I think I'm gonna have a really good variety of people this year if I can make it all happen.
You got to have Angelo on, show off his freaking basement of awesomeness.
Yeah, I like to get Angelo on there. Largo, I reached out to you, obviously. Jim Egner. I think I'm going to have some guys who aren't even from any of our hobbies come on and talk about some stuff. I got a guy who does model rockets.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to possibly a guy who does monster masks, latex monster
Oh
masks.
yeah, that guy's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got a few other people I'd like to reach out to if I could just make it happen. I've reached out to a few people, but some people are really apprehensive because they don't feel like they talk very well on camera. And I'm like, fucking, who cares? I just like to talk to people, and I think the one-on-one thing's good for me because I just like to sit and ask questions and find out about people and their hobbies.
I can tell you, Jeff, you do like the last few shows that you've done, like with Luco and you had Mac 5 on last week, right?
Yep.
Like your one-on-one interview skills are awesome, dude. You do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I try.
Yeah.
I just like to shoot the shit with you guys. It's really fun.
Well, that's the nice thing. Like your interviews are like you're asking the question, but you're not like keeping it from being a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people get into that. What would you like to do? What do you have coming next? What's your project of the year? And it's like, come on, dude, right?
I have no script, right? So I just come on and just start asking questions or just talking about stuff and see where it goes. And it's fun to do. I just love the fact that we all have kind of got together and made what we're all doing. I think it's really, really cool, and I think it's really, really special. And I think a lot of people are starting to take notice of what we all have going on, and I think it's awesome.
Nice.
I think it's fun. I think it's really, really fun. And I really think this year, more than anything, we're all going to lean on each other to kind of really build this.
I can tell you this, Jeff, when Largo first approached me about the adventure team, he knew that I was into the
we told him
stuff, right? And I told him about the rabbit hole, but he's like, what about this and this? I was like, the guy you need to talk to is Jeff over at Skunk Works.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's probably true. I am a never-ending think tank of shit to do.
Yeah.
And I love sharing my hobby with everybody else. And like I said, Largo, if you need any stuff, reach out. Let me know, man. I got a ton of shit. I practice hermetic principles, man. The law of abundance. I just give to people because I think it's putting positive vibes out there is probably the best thing you can do.
I told Largo, I said, I know a lot about the history and I know a lot about the figures, but you want a guy that can make you a fucking adventure team ATV out of a pile of dog shit and some popcorn. You got to talk to Skunk Works.
Yep. Put on your MacGyver hat.
Yeah. I'm a wild boy.
But
all right, guys.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Have a good weekend, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you too. Good to see you.
The adventure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with that, I'm probably gonna head out too, guys. I'm falling asleep. I had to wake up an hour and a half early for work today, so that just threw me off, man.
You damn youngsters always dipping
Ruins
out.
my whole day, you know. It really did. But yeah, I'm probably gonna hit the sack too, man.
All right,
All
Will,
right,
have a good
thank
night.
you
Thanks
so
for coming
much,
in, brother.
guys. Yep, have a great night.
I'll get with you tomorrow, Will.
All right, talk to you soon.
You want to stay on a bullshit some more, Largo? You got to take off.
We can.
All right.
I'd like to get a refill on my tasty beverage, but other
Go
than that,
for
I'm
it.
good.
Go for it.
But yeah, as far as collaboration stuff, really enjoying working with Will. We've been doing stuff for about a year together now. We keep bouncing ideas off each other. We kind of get, I hate to use business buzzwords, but there's a synergy to what we do, because I'll get an idea and I'll go, "Hey, Will, what about this?" And then he'll, we'll bounce stuff back and forth. Some of it we do on his channel, some on mine, some will kind of, cross pollinate. And because we have different interests in different areas, whether it be storytelling or different toy lines, I think it complements real well, And,
yeah, you and Will
what-
have a good back and forth chemistry where you can kind of bounce
Yeah.
off each other, like you said too. Like, he's really heavily into 1/18th, but not just 1/18th Joe or 1/18th Eagle Force or one line. He's got a lot of different things he looks at. Plus, he's into some 1/12th, right? And when you got
Yeah.
a whole variety of shit, plus all
Yeah.
your different things you guys both enjoy at the same time, like all the stuff you do with Goji, right? The beasties and baddies and all that.
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Great stuff.
And the more we've done collaborations, the more we expand that idea base. With Goji having such great knowledge of 70s and 80s comic lore.
That
and
guy's like a
horror
walking
movies.
freaking encyclopedia. Jesus.
He's better than Google, I swear.
Uh-huh.
It's like if I mention an obscure character from a horror movie that was, Hammer or Universal or some other, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is when it was done, and here's the producer, and this was the guy who was behind the camera." I'm like, wow.
I think it was when he was on doing the Universal Monsters with you or something, right? You mentioned something. He's like, "Oh yeah, this actor, this, and this, and he did this," and I was like, "What the hell?"
He loves that stuff, and I love doing those type of collaborations with him. I'm going to have him back to do the Misfits and monsters from the DC universe. Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
What was it? GI Robot, Haunted Tank, all that kind of crazy stuff. So we'll be doing that hopefully sometime soon when our schedules can come together.
Excellent. Well, you want to go grab a beverage and bullshit some more? Go for it.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
All right. I'll talk to the chat while you're gone. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your adventure team, Bjorn. Looks like it's going to be some pretty cool stuff. Are you going to do some vehicles for it too? Like customize some 1/18th vehicles into the adventure team stuff? Is that a sword? This is my sword. This is my hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You kill my father, prepared to die sword. This is my samurai sword. And this is my other sword. Got a really nice handle. Awesome blade. Super sharp. Kill somebody with it. Luke and I have quite an extensive collection of swords, Fat Red Foo. I think I have like 6 and Luke has Luke has about 15 swords, I think. So yeah, we have quite the collection of swords.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
I remember back when I was in the States, there was like a Cutlery World kind of place that had some reproduction pieces that were really beautiful. But it's like, I didn't have anywhere to put them. It's like, really wanted at least one, but not something you can easily carry on an airplane.
Yeah. I built Luke an actual like sword rack for his room, just made it out of some wood, cut it so he could, because like his swords were all just leaned up against the wall like mine are, right? And it's like some of them
Yeah.
for time and shit like that. So I made a nice little thing. You can just hang them all up. But he's got a couple barbarian swords, a couple Roman swords, and he's got a sting from the Hobbit, and
Nice.
like
Yeah, Matthew Mason's got the ones from the McLeod clan. I've seen
Yeah.
that one, the Connor McLeod one. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I've seen I don't know the company that makes it, but they did a really good job on that one.
Yeah. I got my brother a couple years ago the Braveheart sword, and that thing was as tall as I am. I was like, holy shit. No wonder this thing's two-handed. You could barely swing that thing. I mean, it was sharp as hell, right? You could take out a watermelon no time at all. But if you lose grip of that thing, you're taking somebody out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have both Connor and Duncan McLeod swords. Yeah. Yeah, the Highlander series was awesome. That was a good show. Good movies.
Yeah, the first one was.
Yeah.
The rest, there's been rumors they may try bringing that back and redoing it. I don't know. I don't think you can recapture that
No.
what made the first one special.
While you were gone, I was asking Bjorn about his adventure team. So he's going to build some actual 6-wheeled vehicles and try to recreate certain sets in the 1/18 scale. So that's pretty cool.
Excellent. Yeah, he's been doing some cool stuff. He's got some great ideas for kit bashing and customizing some from Marauders. And who's the one that makes the cowboy guys?
Chicken Fried Toys.
Chicken Fried.
Yeah, Chicken Fried. They do some cool stuff. Yeah.
So he's been sourcing some parts and putting some stuff together. And as soon as the Marauders Vietnam era line actually gets out, he'll be finalizing that. So
I've seen a couple guys do some really nice adventure team figures out of some old 1/18 and some 5-inch character lines. One guy did one out of the 1/18 scale 21st Century Toys line, and they painted the helicopter yellow and black. Did the Jeep yellow and black.
Oh yeah,
it was incredible stuff.
Yeah, I agree with Robert. Clancy Brown did such a great job as the Kurgan. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get anybody that's going to do it as well as he did back in the day. Yeah, it was a movie of its time. It was very 80s. You had the Queen soundtrack. You had, it was just fun.
It's one of those things, right? Like some of those movies back in the day that they came out with, they just had to do sequels as money grabs. And it was like, the first one was amazing. And then it was like, oh, that next one was disappointing. I mean, I liked all the Mad Max movies, but Mad Max, the Road Warrior, the first one, you couldn't beat that movie, right? But the next two was like, yeah,
it was rough. I've kind of liked the stuff he's doing with the newer version of Mad Max. It was very epic. It was like watching a graphic novel. I mean, huge, bigger than life.
The one with Tom, what's his name there? That movie?
Yeah.
Was that Thunder Road or something? What the hell was that called?
Fury.
Yeah, Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
This new prequel with Furiosa. I don't care. I want to see the Road Warrior. I'd like to see more with him, but we'll see where it goes. Again, a lot of modern entertainment is just disappointing. Whether it be, classic franchises that people have hijacked and ran into the ground, or, when they do come up with something new, it's not great. It's like, I'm going to have more fun storytelling with my figures than watching anything that's coming up on, any of these Netflix or any of the Plus stuff.
I watch a lot of old movies, and I watch a lot of YouTube. Anything that new that's coming out, like I watched Rebel Moon, which we don't need to get into it. There's a whole mixed thing of who liked it and who didn't like it, but that was like probably the only movie I've actually watched that's come out within the last 5 to 7 years, unless I was watching it with somebody that was just watching something. Like I watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which was a pretty cool movie. Actually, I watched that with my daughter around Halloween.
That
was about the vampire on the boat. That was a cool movie.
Because again, it's taking a little snippet from the Dracula story, the Bram Stoker story. It's like, that's a great idea. It's like it's a story that hadn't been told. You know, what little we got in the book is like, yeah, everybody on the ship, mysteriously bad things happened, and then you move on to Carfax Abbey. But yeah, the second Mad Max was probably the one most people preferred to the original.
I was mostly talking about the third one that was, Thunderdome.
Beyond Thunderdome. Yeah. That was a little
They had
goofy.
to bring in the 80s soundtrack with Tina Turner and all that fun
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So it's like, ugh.
Yeah, diminishing returns with a lot of these. It's like some of them, some of them did really well. You had the Terminator and T2. Should have left it there.
Yep.
You had, the first, I think the first two Predators were good. Everything after that, forget it. Alien and Aliens.
Yep.
And then after that, leave it alone. It's like some of these, it's like they're good for 2 movies. Beyond that, it's no.
Well, even like modern times, right? Like Expendables, the first Expendables was good. The second one was decent. After that, it's been kind of like, yeah, this is the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, come on, guys.
I haven't seen the most recent Expendables, but I like the first 2. Those were fun. I agree. The second film was probably my favorite.
Yeah, it was the better of the 2. I think I like the first one. I'm a big origin movie guy, so like I really like the first movies a lot of series. Like I'm a big, like everybody will tell you that The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, but I'm a huge New Hope fan, right?
Yeah.
I love the Fellowship of the Ring, the first, Lord of the Rings movie. I love the first Mad Max movie. That's just, just my thing.
For me, I like movies that do a good job of storytelling, that pay homage to the book that they're inspired by, but they're never going to be what a novel can be. You can't compress into 2 hours of film, several hours of reading a novel. Some have inspired me to go back and read the book. Sometimes I've read a book and then that inspires me to go see the film.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just I'm getting old and slightly senile, but I'm really enjoying going back and watching a lot of schlock B-movie stuff. Not just the mystery science theater poke fun at it kind of stuff, but actually watching it as entertainment by itself without making fun. Some of the cheesy B sci-fi and horror stuff. Yeah, there's some stuff that does not age well, but some of it is like, at least they were trying to tell a story. Some of the stories are fun.
I had to laugh. I watched a couple weeks before Christmas. I watched Ice Pirates. Remember that one?
I love Ice Pirates.
I mean, that movie is like, it doesn't hold up well, but I mean,
oh no,
for my nostalgia brain, it was perfect. I was like, oh, this is just awesome, right? It was like,
well, that's like you mentioned Rebel Moon. There's a lot in that reminds me of Battle Beyond the Stars, which was Corman, the guy who did all the stop motion stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
And not Harryhausen. Yeah, Roger Corman.
Roger Corman
did. He was the king of B movie schlock stuff, and he actually got a really good cast together. It was the Magnificent Seven basically redone.
Yeah, but
who cared? It was a fun. Hey, Star Wars was good. Let's throw something together and see what we can do. The ship was a little odd, but hey, it was fun. How many movies are fun now that you actually go to and you get a grin on your face because it just enjoyed yourself?
Well, that's I watched over the summer. I think it was right after PowerCon, maybe, that I watched The Creature of Black Lake, right? Which is it's about the Sasquatch down there, right?
Yeah.
And I got Luke to watch it with me, and he was just like, oh my God, this is, because he grown up in a different time, but I was like, this is the movie my dad took me to the drive-in to see. That scared the shit out of me for days, and this is why I like Bigfoot.
Yeah,
this is the movie. And, but I mean, like that movie's funny because it's like you watch. There's like the typical movie where out of towners come in, they meet some girls. The girl's dad ends up being the sheriff or the mayor of the town or whatever, right? And he's harassing the newcomers, and then there's this side story that's taking place outside of it. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Matthew's camp on this one. I did not like Rebel Moon. It had a lot of potential. It's pretty. It's very the cinematography is very pretty, but the script needed a lot more work. It was
I
wasn't
enjoyed
great.
Rebel Moon, but only, I mean, like, I wasn't watching it to like get into a deep story. I knew the story was going to be shallow, right?
Yeah,
It's Zack Snyder, right? I wasn't expecting much.
right.
But when I watch a lot of movies, I try not to go in there with like an absolutely critical mind to begin with. So it makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. Like even like a lot of the sequel Star Wars movies, they're not great movies, right? But when I watch them, I can enjoy them because I don't expect, you know, like so many people go into these movies nowadays and they see so much on the internet about this is this and trailers and back when we were kids there was one trailer that was on TV and that was what you got.
That was
right?
it. Yeah.
Now they have 17 different trailers. It's the sneak peek trailer, then trailer 1, trailer 2, and all this other stuff. And it's like
Too much.
yeah, I go into a movie, I just go in to watch it open-minded, just to enjoy something to take me out of reality. Because you know what, reality sucks enough. Why do I want to come into a movie with a bad attitude?
Yeah. I would like to see more one and done good storytelling. What was that one? Passengers, with the guy who played in the Jurassic Park movies, Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
About a long, generation ship that,
the one
things
where he
went
was
awry.
with Jennifer Lawrence, right? That was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like The Shining in space.
Pretty much. I mean, it was but it was a good story. It was
Oh, yeah, I
entertaining.
enjoyed it.
Trying to think of some recent movies that I actually liked. Not many.
No.
But there's some out there that are kind of cool. I'm always going to gravitate towards epic space opera sci-fi if it's available. But most of that I get out of novels and going back and watching retro movies and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I try to find movies like The Last Voyage of the Demeter was not heavily promoted, and that was a good movie. I mean, it was it was a typical Dracula horror movie, right? You kind of knew everything that was going to happen, right? But I mean, that was a good movie. That was probably the last decent movie I watched that I can actually remember. Yeah, everybody keeps talking about how good this was. I gotta catch this for sure.
Yeah, it hasn't made its way here yet, but everyone who's seen it that I've talked to really enjoyed it. Yeah, Passengers. So
yep, that was
that one.
Passengers. Yeah, that was a good one. But I'm so tired of everything that's been out the same way, right? Like we had such a flood of superhero movies. It was like everything was just a superhero movie. It was like, oh my god, it's like, come on.
And that could have been better. There is I love pulp fiction comic books. I love looking at some of the stuff like, the Shadow and some of the stuff that was big in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Do a time period piece. Give us a crime noir superhero drama. It's something different. I'd love it.
Like when they did the Spider-Man cartoon with the Spider-Verse, I love the Spider-Man noir, right? I would love to see an old, that type of, movie done correctly, right? I mean, that's the problem. We worry too much about not putting it in that time era, right? Batman Gotham by Gaslight cartoon was phenomenal. I loved it.
It was good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a twist that would work better. Some of these things would work better as period pieces. Most of the heroes that I enjoyed were created in the 1960s, especially for Marvel. Put them in the 1960s. Put them in a 60s period piece where they actually make more sense.
Yeah. I think they struggle with that because there's only been a few movies that have been redone based on old movies or redone based on old TV shows that have been done right. Like they tried to do that. Like I think they did really well with the A-Team, right? They updated the character so it was a different war, different post, wartime and all that stuff, and they did a really good job with that. Some of them they're like, well, let's still stick with the same story and not update anything, and then see if it works for 2020. It's like that's not going to work.
Some characters do not age well, or they only fit in a certain genre. You couldn't do the Shadow and have it as a modern day character. It's been tried. It doesn't work. It doesn't work well. He lives in the 1930s, 40s era. That works for him because that's, when you look at the world that he lives in, what was going on in politics and just society. You know, you could have some kind of a mystic vigilante and make it semi plausible.
Yeah.
Doc Savage is another good example.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work today. But
No. I mean,
I've been
it could work, but you have to put it, you know, you could make that movie, but you have to set it in the time that it came from, because that's the only way it's going to, you know, you can't take and do a Tarzan movie today, right? And have Tarzan be in today's world. It's just not going to work.
right. They've tried that too. Back in the 70s, they tried,
Mhm.
you know, bringing him into the 70s, and it was like, not buying it. The most
Yeah, the
recent
Sherlock
Tarzan
did
movie
a good
they
job
did was
bringing the
pretty good.
Sherlock with that Sherlock show. That was a good show.
Yeah, I maybe just because he is, you know, a brilliant detective that can go in different time periods. That can work.
Well, they did it so like it worked because they updated, you know, Dr. Watson's character to be in a modern, you know, postmodern war, right? And like the stuff Sherlock was doing in the original storylines from the 1890s, they just updated it so it worked in today's, you know, world. Instead of being in a lab doing like, you know, 1890s procedures, he was using high tech telescope or microscopes and, you know, things like that, right? So it worked really well.
I would have liked to have seen them make Moriarty more. How would I explain it? The way they went to do him, they made him more maniacal and
Yes.
less cold, calculating, super smart. I mean, he was well done as far as being a match, but I always preferred
the guy that
the
played him did
gentleman.
him perfectly as a maniacal psychopath, but he wasn't
Yes.
the superior brain like the way they portrayed him in the Robert Downey Jr. movies with Moriarty was perfect, right? They did a really good job portraying him as that.
Yeah, I liked that rendition better, I think. Plus, I like Guy Ritchie films. I'm a sucker for, you know, his style. It's very.
I enjoyed the Sherlock show with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, but I still prefer, like, after I watched that show, I went back and watched the old animated versions of the Sherlock and all the old black and white Sherlock movies and stuff like that.
Oh, what was his name? Basil Rathbone?
Rathbone.
Yeah. Those were awesome. I love those. You know, there's stuff out there that could still be done, revisited, done well, but you know,
even
think
the entertainment world is so risk averse now that they're afraid to, you know, offend that one small section of people that are going to stand up and go, "Oh, I'm offended because you put," you know, I mean, like there was people when they did that movie with there was just a comedian talking about it. I saw the other day. They did that movie with what's his name that was in the wheelchair, the genius dude. What the hell's his name? The one that was in the wheelchair for life. He had that bad disease. He's like really into like
Stephen Hawking?
Yeah, Stephen Hawking. They made that movie about his life, right? And there's people that were upset because they didn't have a handicapped person playing Stephen Hawking. It's like, well, the movie was about before he got sick and then leading up through his whole life. What do you want? You can either have somebody that, you know, the comedian's like, well, you can either have somebody that can walk and pretend to be in a wheelchair, or you can have somebody that's in a wheelchair try to pretend to walk. It's just not going to work, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what people do nowadays. And they're so afraid to just upset that one little clique of people. And it's like, you know, take a chance.
Yeah.
Put something out there.
Some of it's really silly. I do think there is a need for diversity in storytelling, but there are good storytellers that the diversity is there. It always has been. It's just, was it well written? Does this character fit this story? Or are you just trying to shoehorn somebody in to fill a quota?
Right.
There's a difference.
Yep.
Good storytelling, it doesn't matter the gender or race or ethnicity or whatever, fill in the blank.
Yep.
Are they a good character? Are they compelling? Is it a good villain? Is it a good hero? Are you following, you know, there's a hierarchy of how a story works that a lot of people today seem to have forgotten about. There's a reason that, you know, was it Joseph Campbell's stories or his writings about the idea of the hero's journey. It makes sense. It's formulaic. If you look at cave paintings and stories from, you know, Greek mythology and the Romans, there's a story arc. It fits a pattern because that's what works. It's how our brains are wired. And
Well, that's the problem, right? Like a lot of movies nowadays try to force in the, you got to have the strong male character, but you got to have just as strong of a female character to go with it, right? So you lose a lot of that. And not that you need to have the damsel in distress type of female character, right? But you need to have a character that's well developed, right? That's the problem. We don't develop them well. We just say, well, this is the character and you have to like her because she's a female or because, they're a minority or because they're handicapped in some way. And it's like, I don't want to watch that. I'll watch anything you want to put out in front of me as long as the character development is solid, right? It doesn't matter what they are, man, woman,
Right.
whatever. If it's a good character, I'll watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah. There are some really great Batgirl, Barbara Gordon stories. There's some good Batwoman stories in the DC comics. But whatever they tried to produce in live action was a train wreck, because it's like, go to the source material, find the good writers that were really good at doing this and emulate that. And
well, that's
for some reason,
like with Star Wars, right? Like Disney got so lost with Star Wars, and it's like you had so much expanded universe back in the the 80s, 90s through the 2000s, right before Disney bought it. Awesome source material, storylines that had Han Solo and Leia off adventuring and raising their kids and doing all this stuff, right? Great storylines. And it's like, why didn't you just stick to the material you had and make a good movie based on that, right? Why?
If they had given us, Timothy Zahn's trilogy that he did,
geez, yeah,
that would have been perfect. That would have.
I love the Republic Commando series, right? Those books were incredible, right? Do a whole story
even some
on
of the X-Wing novels. If you want to follow Wedge,
great too.
Yeah, those are good. Brian Daly did Han Solo at Star's End or something like that. He did like 2 or 3 Han Solo adventures that were fun.
I there's a couple different, there's 2 Han Solo trilogies, I believe, that were put out. Both of them were decent, right? That's what I'm saying. They have all this source material that they could have, based stories on. They just, it's like, nah, let's just kill all that and make up our own stuff.
Yeah, and do it poorly. I've got a lot of heartburn right now with what they're doing with Doctor Who. I was a kid I actually lived in Scotland, watched the BBC. I saw Tom Baker, on the telly. I got into him and then Peter Davidson and everybody after that, then went back and watched the first 3 Doctors before that. When the Who universe took a hiatus, we all read the books because they were still making novelizations. Then they started doing audio stories that were fun by Big Finish. Then it came back and we got Eccleston, and then we got Tennant, and then Matt Smith. All were good. Capaldi is a great actor. He played a good Doctor, but the scripts started getting a little thin. And then it just went downhill from there. And where it is now, it's a shadow of its former self, and it's sad. It is.
Well, I think part of the problem is that it kind of goes to something Matthew said. Like a lot of the writers nowadays, they're writing from a place of watching stories as opposed to living, right? We all grew up living. The guys like Tolkien, right? He was in World War I. He was in the trenches. He knew all this stuff, right? He experienced things, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's where he wrote the books from, right? And
this generation doesn't have
and stuff, right? Look at how many actors were war vets and things like that lived these lives, right? It's like, they don't have.
We don't have an Ernest Hemingway. We don't have a Jack Kerouac. We don't have any of these kind of people in society who have done things and lived things to write about.
Right,
it's like
exactly.
Great writers come from life experience. Sometimes a lot of, I want to say tragedy, but that's not quite the right word. But 8 miles of bad road. You got to have something go on to learn how to write.
There's this guy I watch on Instagram, and he's kind of like he's kind of like a motivational speaker, right? And the one thing he said, is that like creativity is born out of either necessity, a really happy experience, or a really traumatic experience. That's where creativity comes from, right? You don't just sit there and go, "Oh, I'm creative." Like I write poetry most of the time. I write better poetry when I'm in a upset mood or something triggers, my
how many great songs have been written after a divorce, a breakup, something.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like that's when it comes out, right?
Yeah.
And
same thing
you
with
gotta have those experiences.
Exactly. I like. I wouldn't say I like military fiction in and of itself, but I like good writers. I like
I'm
Jack
not
Carr.
I'm not big into a military fiction myself.
Yeah. Jack Carr is a good writer because he's lived. He was working with special teams. He has been around and done things.
Yep.
So he writes a lot of his experience into his characters, and he does it well.
And the thing is, though, like you take Tolkien's experience, right? He took some of the things he did in World War One, experienced and saw and everything else, and put them into his novels, but set in a completely different, fantasy world.
Right.
It's like, you have that experience, you can relate to that and relate it to your characters, no matter what setting they're in.
And having passion for what you do, it's a difference too. Yeah. Hey,
That's
Taylor
very
Swift
true,
is
Bjorn.
definitely. She's really good at writing songs after a bad breakup. Whatever works.
I had to laugh because there was all that publicity about her with Travis Kelce, and there was a meme on Instagram that showed her walking with Travis, and it said something like, "Here's a picture of Taylor Swift walking with her next hit album."
Pretty much.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, she's done well, and she is pretty smart about being creative. I'm not a Swiftie; it's not my thing, but I can appreciate that she's a good writer. There's a lot of other stuff that's out there that's just like we're seeing with television and film. A lot of the music stuff now is just cookie cutter, put together in a studio. There's no soul. There's no,
I've sent you 3 playlists. You've seen my music taste. There's
nothing
new on that shit.
People used to have a different way. I don't mean to sound old and nostalgic, but there is a difference when you look at music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Some early 90s, but after that, it gets very corporate. It gets very, there's just like a homogenous sound.
I think part of the problem, though, is it's something that you and I can't remember what guest it was. Maybe it was Gozitron, but on your Infinite playlist, like back in the day when there was records or cassettes, and even when they were doing CDs, that whole album told a story.
Yes.
And now they release singles all the time because people are just going to release and go onto Spotify or whatever and download the one song that's on the radio. So there's no story throughout the albums anymore, right? I mean, there wasn't a lot of stories in the big hair bands back in the 80s and stuff like that, but I mean, before that, right, there was still a lot of depth in these albums. Like these guys would take years to put this album together because they want, they write a song in 1969, you might not show up on an album until the 80s or something because they wanted it to go on this certain, sounding album, right? They just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and you had bands that even as their sound evolved, their storytelling was still good. Yes is a good example. They were one band in the 70s. They reinvented themselves in the 80s. Different sound, but still good storytelling through the albums.
Yeah. Well, you take a band like Social Distortion, right? Social Distortion's last album has taken them 20 years to write. Part of that is because they're trying to get that right sound to go carry throughout the album. The other part is that they've been touring for 20 years, basically nonstop, right? They're a touring band. So it takes time to get, studio time.
Yeah. Matthew Mason brings up another couple great ones. Tommy, The Wall.
Oh, yeah.
These were epic. They were rock operas. They were stories. The Wall, there's layers and layers of depth dealing with, mental health issues, dealing with, just many of the things that members of the band were experiencing and trying to deal with in their own lives came out in that music and then came out in the film that was done that celebrated the music. It's like the film is almost a completely different experience than just listening to the album, but both are genius, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you look at how many like old classic, late 60s, 70s albums and stuff. The whole album was turned into a movie, whether it was animated or, whatever. It was like the whole album was just turned into a movie. It was like, holy shit, right?
Yeah. Good stuff, man. I've seen a couple of modern
This is
day.
for you, Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I been saying Matson?
It's Matson.
Oh,
not
it is
Mason.
Matson. I've been
Yes.
saying Mason.
Yeah.
Major Matt Mason. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, you're not an astronaut?
Not in
I'll
this
get it
life. He
right.
was in his past life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's another cool friggin' vintage toy line that needs to be reborn.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I know some people aren't into space toys, but I got into the very tail end of that. They were dying in the 60s. I got some yard sale, stuff that I had as a kid, and I love those. I love space toys.
My uncle collects Matt Mason. He's a big sci-fi nerd, and he was big into Matt Mason when he was a kid, right? He came out, he was alive at that time, right age, right? He has a nice collection of the Matt Mason figures. Those are hard to find though, because they were made out of that rubber with the bendy wire, so it's hard to,
they didn't
play sets
survive
and the
well.
vehicles were awesome, but the figures are hard to come by.
Yeah, I had Oh, okay. Groovy.
That's why your last name's Mason now, Matthew. You're now
That's right.
Major Matthew Mason.
Another good one that was good was it Coleco did Starcom. Starcom was a great idea. It just, for some reason, it didn't pan out the way they hoped, but they did a good job. Yeah. Some space toys some are just, not so great, but
I was, there was a resurgence in the space toys for me when Fisher Price did the Alpha Probe and the Alpha Star and all that for the adventure people. But that was kind of because of Star Wars, right? But my Star Wars figures were never really, I wouldn't consider them space figures. You know what I mean? Like they weren't in that realm for me, even though that's where they came from as far as my toy collection goes, right? It was like, I had my G.I. Joes protecting Obi-Wan Kenobi because he looked like a royal king. That's what he was. He was
sure.
I make a cardboard, building, and he'd be up at the top floor, and all my Joes would have to protect him from, Storm Shadow or, some crazy, dude coming in to assassinate him.
I got more into the Buck Rogers and Battlestar Galactica, the Glenn Larson stuff, than I did Star Wars because I didn't watch the films. I didn't see Star Wars when it first came out.
Yeah, I didn't see Star Wars either.
I got, what do you call it? Like when they do the little storybook and the cassette tape kind of deal.
Yeah. I still have the big hardcover Star Wars books, all three of those. That's where I first learned about Star Wars, right? Had a bunch of the figures. I was like, oh, these figures are so cool. Everybody's like, oh, Star Wars is great. So of course I had to get Star Wars toys, right? But I didn't see the movie until my grandparents got cable TV in 1981 or 82, and it was on HBO.
Same here.
Like, holy cow, right?
So there's a lot of stuff that I played with that it just turned into Buck Rogers because the Buck Rogers Mego toys were very few and far between. There wasn't a lot.
Buck Rogers Mego toys are cool though.
Yeah, just wish there'd been more of them.
Yep. Yeah, I had the Buck Rogers in his white space suits. That was one of my favorite figures when I was a kid.
Yeah. Fat Red Foo, I listen to audiobooks daily. I listen to a lot of I'm listening to who is the author? I can't remember. It's the Arthurian stories told through the eyes of a Roman.
Oh, that's cool. I'd like to listen to that.
The first one is called The Sky Stone. I cannot remember the name of the author right off the top of my head.
Oh,
they're older books. They've been out for a while, but there's 8 or 10 in the series, and I've been going through those. I
just listened to Lord of the Rings before Christmas, and that was I think that was 3 days worth of nonstop listening, pretty much for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like good stories. Audiobooks are great because I can multitask. I can have on an audiobook while I'm editing a video or
that's
working
what I
on
do. I put them
else.
on when I'm building a dio or something like that. Just have it in the background. I think I listened to before Christmas. I listened to The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum, and I listened to a couple different versions of Christmas Carol. And I listened to Gene Shepard, "In God We Trust, Everybody Else Pays Cash," because that's where the Christmas Story came from.
Right.
But besides that, I listened to The Lord of the Rings. I've been listening to some of the Conan stories, and I started listening to the original Dragonlance trilogy, Autumn to Twilight and Dragons of Winter Night and all that. So
those are fun.
Yeah.
That's one I would have loved to have seen a toy line because
Oh yeah, I know. Right?
Dragonlance was huge when I was younger.
Yep.
Everybody was really into that.
I read every single Dragonlance book that was ever made. Had them all in paperback, and then I had another kid, so I had to move a bunch of my collection out of the room that was in. So sold off a bunch of my toys, sold off my entire Dragonlance collection of books. But I got good money for them for selling them off.
Oh, yeah, they're still popular today.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of good stuff that there's potential there if the right person got a hold of it. But it seems like so many IPs are in the hands of companies that either are phoning it in, don't care, or just have it locked in a vault so nobody else can do anything with
That's
it.
one of my goals for this year is I want to take, and I don't think I'm going to finish, but I'm going to start with Mythic Legions and using some of the Savage Crucible guys as the Draconians. I want to build a cast of the original core characters from Dragonlance, Tanis Half-Elven and Flint Fireforge the dwarf. And
I was going to say, how are you going to do a halfling? That's a tough one.
I'll probably end up getting like a elf figure from maybe a different toy line or something and making Tasselhoff Burfoot out of that, So or finding like a Hobbit figure that I can, manipulate a little bit or whatever. But but yeah, that's
with Savage Crucible, I read the comic book they put out, and there's a lot of potential there. If this line is as successful as people are hoping, they're going to go in some great directions. There's going to be some good storytelling. It's not going to be just sword and sorcery.
Yep.
It will have great fantasy elements, but they're also pulling in a little bit of river world, a little bit of some other types of sci-fi, science fantasy.
I think Savage Crucible is leaning more towards like AWOC, where there's a lot of foundation is based in the sword and sorcery, but there's a lot of sci-fi elements to it and a lot of. But even if you look at some of the stories that were based around like Conan and stuff, had a lot of, like Thunder the Barbarian. There was a lot of sword and sorcery, but there was a lot of technology and sci-fi.
Well, and horror too. It's like Lovecraft and Howard knew each other, and a lot of the monsters and gods that were in the Conan stories were very Lovecraftian because they talked. They probably had a beer together occasionally, and shot ideas back and forth.
That's what I always tell Luke. I would love to have been a guy sitting at the pub when Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and his buddies were all sitting there, going back and forth.
The Inklings, yes.
Yeah. How awesome would that have been to sit there and listen to?
Oh man, it's a lot of creative, cool stuff. You wonder how much stuff just got left in the bar that never got written down that they came up with.
Yeah, they took napkins home and were like, "Oh, what'd I do with that napkin?"
Yeah. How many story ideas end up on the back of a matchbox or a napkin or, scrap of paper? Crazy.
Yeah. Good stuff back in the day, though, Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of the creativity that comes out nowadays is very risk averse. And a lot of it is being created by people that just don't have experiences, right? I'm a firm believer that, life is what you make of it, but you don't really get to appreciate life until you've gone through the shit, right? It's like, and it's just the way it is, right? It's like, I appreciate life every day, no matter how bad the day seems, because I've already been through the shit, right? It was always a joke between me and my father-in-law. My father-in-law is a Vietnam vet, and he was in the same unit that I served in, 20 years apart or whatever, right? And it's like, him and I would be sitting at like a barbecue and, the hot dog would fall off or a chip would fall off. We'd pick it up, blow it off, put it in our mouth.
Yeah.
It's like
10-second rule.
That's gross. It's like, I've eaten worse, or like something would happen, like some storm or something. We'd be like, yeah, we've been in worse places, right? Living in a foxhole, right? It's like, yeah, we've been in worse places. It's all good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Chronicles of Narnia, the books were pretty good. Most of the adaptations were, it's like the religious undertones. They didn't,
but
it didn't really hit you in the head. It wasn't like there was a message they were beating you with. It was a morality to the characters and the story.
Every story that's created has religious undertones. I mean, you look at Star Wars, right? It's good versus evil. It's people with magical powers, and there's a good force to it and there's a bad force to it. It's religious undertones. Same with,
sure.
all of it, right? I mean, all of it has religious undertones to some extent.
Yep.
It all depends on how hard they're shoving it down your throat, how hard they're going to hit you over the head with it.
Okay, that's fair. The last battle is pretty heavy-handed. That's
Yeah.
Can't argue with that one.
But I mean, Aslan being a representation of God in lion form, that's pretty badass, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we got a freaking Father Christmas that hands out swords.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, couldn't get through because of the witch, but now I'm here. Here's some kick-ass battle armor and a bow and a sword, and
here's some magical weapons for you.
Yeah, go have fun, kids.
I realize that in other stories, Gandalf and some sorceress would hand these weapons out, but for me, it's Father Christmas.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Ever read the Berserk
Oh,
manga?
Berserk.
If you want an epic dark fantasy with fantastic art. I've never read it. Luke had me watch some of the show
Manga
cartoon or whatever it was, but
I can't remember who did it. Yeah.
I haven't read the story. I'll have to check out the story.
I haven't read the whole series, but it's good. And the character, he's not, I mean, it's not your typical anti-hero stuff. I mean, he's gone through a lot. There's some tragedy to his life.
That's true, Bjorn.
Yes. Just make sure where it says this side towards enemy.
Yeah.
It's facing the enemy. Hey.
Good old claymores. I remember Luke saw a claymore one time. I think it had like a 1/6 scale one, right? And Luke's like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, that's a claymore mine." He's like, "Well, why does it say?" Because on the 6 scale one, it said that, this side towards enemy, right? And he's like, "Well, why does it say that?" I was like, "Well, because it explodes and shoots out, 100 round BBs of lead, right? That will
pellets.
shred you." And he's like, "Wow, that's
steel
really
balls,
cool."
Yeah,
yeah, it was steel balls. Yeah, yep. Then we watched a guy detonate one and shoot just destroy trees that were in the way of it.
Oh man!
But speaking of this, though, did you watch that Violent Night that came out last year with the Santa Claus that they take him back to? It's that big dude. What the hell is his name in that movie? But
he was the guy that played in Stranger Things as the sheriff.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
I can't remember the actor's name.
They take Santa Claus back to basically his Nordic roots in that movie. It's just badass.
Yeah. It's like, you don't want to piss this guy off.
Nope.
He's got a history.
Walking around.
Speaking of Nordic, The Northman. That is a modern movie that I thought was really well done. It's Hamlet. Yeah. But, it's the original Hamlet. Literally. It's where its roots come
really
from.
Good.
Very well done.
Thank you. Yeah, Violent Night was awesome.
Good stuff. So there's a couple out there that are good, but it used to be, it was the other way around. It's like most of them are good and a couple are stinkers. Now it's like most of them are stinkers, and every once in a while a good movie will sneak by the, whoever makes the decisions in these,
That's I like
movie houses.
About 10 years ago, I was, like when I was married, the ex and I would watch a movie basically every Saturday night. That was our movie night. We'd send the kids up to bed and we just watch a movie, and that was before Netflix and chill came out and stuff. We'd actually watch a movie. And
it wasn't code for snuggling. It was, we're going to actually watch the movie.
Right. A lot of times there was a lot of rom-coms that I had to suffer through, but I knew, when a good movie came out, I'd get to watch that, and enjoy it with her and spend how much knowledge I knew about certain things. Right. And, but I remember I'd watch a lot of the reviews on the movies or read a lot of the reviews. And it's like, at that point in time, I knew if the critic didn't like it, I probably was going to, right? Now it's like, if the critic likes it, I know absolutely I'm going to fucking hate it.
Probably. Yeah. I'm not familiar with this Sisu that Mr. Mattson is mentioning. I'll have to check that out.
Sisu was awesome. It's done by the guys that did John Wick. So
okay.
It's a very violent movie. But the gist of it is he was a Sisu, which was the Finnish special forces type guys, right? And he retires and is off on his thing, and then he finds some gold and he's got to travel all the way across, Finland and stuff to get to where this place is that he can actually trade the gold for currency, right? And along the way, of course, he, runs into some Nazis that are, patrolling around. This is during that time. And he just,
Right.
lays waste to everything.
Just
that
takes
gets in
care
his
of
way,
business.
Right? Yeah. It's a great movie.
Is this the one that's got, what's the actor's name? Mickelson, I'm thinking of. He's kind of like, what's
He's
he
not a
played?
really well-known guy, but I think that's his name. Let me see. I can bring it up.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the same actor that played in Rogue One as Galen. What's his name? The guy that designed the Death Star.
Yeah. What the hell?
I'm terrible with names,
Yeah.
but he's been in some good stuff. He's a good actor.
The lead actor for that was Jorma Tormila.
Not the guy I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
but I'll check it out. That sounds good.
Yeah, that was a good, really fun movie to watch. I mean, just a good action, type of flick. And I love John Wick too, right? I mean, I love all 4 of the John Wicks. So
Speaking of oddball movies, do you remember when we were doing the squatching thing? We talked about that one about the special agent that had killed Hitler and then went on to kill Bigfoot.
Oh yeah,
I
the
mean,
one
that
with
was like
Sam
the title.
Elliott.
Yes, Sam Elliott, man. That was
Yeah.
that was
The man who shot Hitler then killed the Bigfoot or whatever.
right.
that was
Something
called.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was
Another
a great
off the wall kind of movie, but it was great.
Mm-hmm. I went into that movie. I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't watch anything. I just saw the title. I was like, and I saw it was Sam Elliott. I was like, well, it's got to be good. It's got Sam Elliott in
Yeah.
it, right?
Pretty much.
And I watched that movie, and my ex-wife actually loved that movie when she watched it with me, but it was like nothing at all what I thought it was going to be, right? Figured it was going to be like this action military type movie, and it's like nothing like that at all.
It was a slow burn.
Yep.
Actually, a little couple of tear jerking scenes in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Krampus Santa.
There was a couple of good Krampus movies out over the last few years that were pretty decent, but yeah, that Sisu was good. I really like the John Wick stories, but those are movies you watch just for the sheer entertainment of the violence and the action and stuff like that, right? There's no
Right.
real depth to them.
I'd really like to see more movies that delve into folklore. I really enjoyed Guillermo del Toro's one he did.
Oh, Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan was excellent. There's another one he did also where was it not the Tooth Fairy, but it was something to do with the Fae, and it was the
one that
You know
was
what
set
I'm
over in
talking
Ireland,
yes,
where they moved into that old house in the woods and they took all the iron that keeps the Fae
yes,
out off the windows and stuff. Yeah, that was that was actually had the same name as another movie that was out around the same time, but that was really good. Yeah, that was a really good one.
It's like there's so much great folklore, and it's been done, but it could be done really well with today's movie making technology. Just need some good directors and guys that can actually read a book. What's going on with Travis?
He just ordered.
Oh
some
no,
more
he's
toys.
ordering more toys.
Yeah. Did you see Trolls, another foreign-made movie?
I liked Trolls.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
an awesome one. I saw that on Netflix. I was blown away by how cool that movie was. Where they actually come
The
up out of
scale.
they actually went into
Yeah.
the mountain and turned into the mountain and stuff like that. That was awesome.
The scale of the Trolls, it was really epic. I like that. It was well done. It was fun.
Night, Bjorn.
Yeah, we should probably call it. It's 3 hours plus.
Oh yeah, we're almost hitting midnight. Damn. Yeah, that Trolls was definitely good. I love Matthew here though, not the singing animated one.
No. Yeah, I know which one he's
Let's
talking
just
about.
be clear. It wasn't that one. But yeah, that was good. Well, thanks for coming on, Jim. I appreciate it. Thanks for everybody that stuck around and hung out with us. It's been fun.
Always fun hanging with you, Ed.
What do you got coming up, Jim?
Well, I'm going to have you on Infinite Playlists sometime in the very near future. We've got a few other new guests booked. We're building those shows. A lot of lore and storytelling coming this year. The sister channel is going to have the poetry. We're going to do some other storytelling aspects there. We're going to continue with the exploring the lore of Action Force. Now we'll be doing that with Delta 17. We might do that with Chap May, depending on how good the comics are. But we'll definitely continue that.
That's the new channel, Largo's Lore.
Yeah, it's just Largo's Lair 2. explore the lore. But yeah, Largo's lore is kind of the theme there. It's easier to just basically just have a sequel, so I don't have to,
Yeah.
But
So if you go to
we'll-
Largo's normal channel, you can find the second channel down below. Subscribe,
Yeah.
follow that channel for now. It's got a couple
Exactly.
good videos on there already. The
I'll put I'll put some stuff out on Instagram. I'll put some links on my normal channel if you guys are interested. But really, I'm kind of looking to see how many people who are not toy people are interested in just storytelling stuff. So that's why I'm trying it as a spin-off. But
Well, I
see.
think like not to extend the show, but like your theory on like what you did with your channel where you created like a TV station, right? That had a
Right.
bunch of different shows on there. I think it's a great concept. Unfortunately, if you're really trying to grow on YouTube, that algorithm doesn't work that way, right? So this might be kind of what you need to do is put all the toy stuff on the normal Largo's layer and put, all the other stuff onto a different channel, see how it works, right?
Right. I'm going to try it for a few months and see what the numbers are like. If
Yeah.
it doesn't show much difference, I'll go back to what I was doing because I like
Yep.
the idea of having it all under one roof and
Yeah.
you just pick what shows you like,
The only issue is like, even with mine, I can tell you that like, if I do 1/12 scale stuff, Mythic Legions, Mezco and all that, I get more views than if I do something with G.I. Joe. So like even going from one scale to the next scale it just, YouTube is not friendly to that type of thing. They want you to
No.
go and do, I do nothing but G.I. Joe 1/12 scale, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah. And it's like, I've got more than one interest, I want to try different stuff. Yes. Algorithms are extremely stupid.
Yeah. Well, it's like even Instagram. You go onto Instagram and like you go to your search page and like you'll see something that just is like, oh, what's that? Right. And you click on it. Next thing you know, it's like it totally takes over your feed. It's like same on YouTube, right? It's like I wanted to see one thing. That was it. Right. I don't need 7,000 videos or posts about this thing. I was just checking out one thing.
What's worse is when I'm doing research, because for a lot of the stories where I'm going into the history of a toy or a storyline, I'm doing research. I'm looking on all the different search engines, and so for the next couple of weeks, I just get bombarded with stuff.
Yeah,
that's
you just
related.
did Barbie, so I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh Lord. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of pink stuff. It's like, okay, I got everything I needed for Barbie. I'm done. I'm moving on now. So it's a thing.
Fucking algorithms.
But yeah,
we agree with this. Thanos. Algorithms are stupid.
Absolutely. We're going to continue with Joe's toy trivia following the Hall of Fame toys that's up in your neck of the woods.
Yep. Good stuff.
That's
actually really close to Mr. Wonderful too.
Oh, awesome.
He was just there recently.
Very cool. Allison will be joining us on the Infinite playlist very soon.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
She's got a very cool playlist. You guys will like it. We're going to try to get some interviews with guys that haven't been on the channel before, but we enjoy what they do, whether it be in the toy tuber world or other things.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll see where we go. It's going to be a fun year. We're going to do some ambitious stuff. Some of it might crash and burn, but we'll try it anyway.
Hey, like we keep talking about, right? There's no point being risk averse because you never know. You might do something crazy and it just lands. And next thing you know, you're like,
Yeah, it's a crapshoot. Anywho. Yeah.
Very true.
That would be a challenge.
Anyway, I will let you go, Jim. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Always good hanging out with you, and appreciate you coming on and hanging out with me. So I will talk to you, I'm sure, tomorrow or later or sometime during the week. But
I'm always
everybody
around.
else, thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. Appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great night.
Yep. Night.